We're going to still have a few people walking in and out, and that's okay because this is kind of an open house format, and so we want to make sure people, if you want to go out and look at the posters, if you want to end up and get a refreshment, there's lots of cookies and water. We have Spanish translation via closed captioning at the top here. We also have Spanish translation in any of the seats over here using headsets as well. So we have a couple of different forms. Yeah, I'm going to make some introductions here for some folks who are here to help us with this meeting. First and foremost, my name is Ben Horst, and part of my job with Granite School District is to help with community outreach. And so I partner with Steve Hogan, who oversees our planning and boundaries process, and he kind of owns our boundary closure process, and I kind of assist him. And we have some elected officials here with us tonight. I'd like to have our board members that are here in the room please stand. I see Karen Winder, Chris Wynn, and Connie Burke. See Julie Jackson I saw out in the hallway, and I'm not seeing. There's Julie Jackson, she's waving, she's coming in. We do have a couple of other board members that either couldn't be with us tonight or will join us shortly. So when they come in, we'll be sure to recognize them. We also have a couple of directors and then some local elected officials. So if you're a director with Granite School District, would you please stand so we can point and recognize you? I have Dave Gaddy, who's our transportation director. I have John Adams, who helps supervise the school, and Rick Nilsson, who helps supervise some of the other schools in the area as well. I'm glad that they can be here with us. Dave Gaddy is going to get some cookies, clearly, and he's our transportation guy, so we might turn the time over to him if there's some specific transportation questions that we might have. I don't know why this is going. Just okay, that sounds okay now. Paula, would you come up here real quick? Yeah, all the way up here. I know it's a long one. Is there? Why don't you introduce yourself and there's other people here who should be recognized? Please identify them as well.
Hi, good evening. I'm glad you're all here tonight for this important meeting. I'm Paula Larson. Many of you know who I am. I've been around 100 years out here, and I'm the chairman of your community council. So I'm glad to hear the feedback. I have some other council members that are going to join me tonight. They aren't here yet, so I'm going to do that.
They show up, we'll be sure to recognize them. Thank you for being here tonight, Paula. She's been a valuable collaborator with Granite School District, and we've had the pleasure to man over the past decade working through a number of issues. So thank you. Paula always keeps me in mind, so I appreciate that. So with respect to that, I'm going to turn the time over to Steve Hogan to kind of walk us through the first part of this presentation. We're going to try to go as fast as we can through the presentation portion and then just get to the part where we will answer your questions. Just a couple of things you need to be aware of. We have this camera back here that is filming this meeting. And so if you couldn't come tonight, or if you know somebody who was not able to be here tonight, that's okay. There's still lots of opportunities to provide feedback, to get your questions answered, to make sure, I do not know why this thing is working very well, to get your questions answered, and to make sure that your voice is heard as part of this process. So Steve's going to walk through the population analysis process and talk about the committee that makes these recommendations, because it's not just Steve and I. But this video will be uploaded on our website as soon as possible and shared on social media as well. And we'll obviously blast it out to anybody who provided an email address to us tonight as well, as anybody who's provided previous comments as well. So with respect to that, I just want to start in there. Let's see. Does this one work okay? You guys
I couldn't see the screen. I'm fine either way.
And also have to recognize our incredible principal here, Wendy Lavelle. I'm going to have her say something.
Okay, before we start, I wanted to talk to the students who are here. Students, thank you for coming. This is a big deal. It's an important thing that we're talking about tonight. I have a you. Can you try your very, very best to be very quiet so we can all hear what we're talking about? Can you guys do that for us? Okay, just a couple of quick requests. I don't know, maybe you already said this, but we're trying to have the words go on the top of the screen. So the more quiet we are, the better our translating device works. So students, especially, if you can try to be really quiet so that the words translate up there. So I'm going to turn the time over to Steve Hogan, but parents and families and community members, this is a big deal, and we want to know that we appreciate you taking your time to come to this meeting. So thank you very much.
Hello. How's that back? Better? Okay. We'll try this. Let me know at any point if you can't hear it as well. Again, thanks for being here. I wish there was always a perfect way and an easy way to have these kind of conversations and meetings. I know they're not, but I really, really appreciate your input, your time to be here tonight. And again, if I have feedback or just not good sound, I will switch. Check. Okay. Again, my name is Steve Hogan. I'm the Director of Planning and Boundaries for this. It's cutting out. Is that okay? Can you bring me that mic, please?
On the stage.
Yeah. How about this? Okay. I like coordinated and reliable. I'm going to go through a PowerPoint presentation here as quickly as I can and not too fast. If there's something on here you have questions about, by the way, obviously we have some translation up here. I hope it works. We have some other translation services and earpieces and some direct translation if needed. Okay. Again, my name is Steve Hogan. I'm the Director of Planning and Boundaries. I've been in the district over 25 years. When I first started in the 90s in Granite District at Broadbank Junior High School. At that point, this area was a bit different. We had year-round schools, we had modified schedules, we had relocatable classrooms everywhere. Does anybody remember those days in this neighborhood and other neighborhoods? Some of you, I won't ask age, but some of you might have been in schools then. And we understood then the problems of some schools being too large, because that was the problem then. Things have changed. Simple graph, and this only goes back about 20 years, since about 2000. In the 80s, Granite District was as high as about 76,000 students. Now, we are under 60,000, actually somewhere between 58 and 59,000. So we're down almost 20,000 students. They're not disappearing necessarily. When you look at birth rate, maturing of neighborhoods, gentrification in some areas, many reasons. The bottom line is, now we have the opposite problem in some areas, and that is some schools are what we would consider too small. Again, we know, and have understood for a while, some schools can be too big. The Granite District and other districts believe that, especially elementary schools, but all schools have a sweet spot, and some schools can be too small. Okay, that's what I want to go over, and we can, again, get into questions about what that means and why. Okay? Very quickly, this snake, this infographic, just simply describes our process. Our boundary study, population analysis study process. It is a year-long, calendar year process that we start in January and February, and it goes for a full calendar year. We've gone through this process where the study was approved by the board. We collect input and have meetings meetings in the spring, and I'll show you some of those in just a minute. Over the summer, the Population Analysis Committee, of which I chair, and we have about 35 people in the district representing all facets of the district to give input on this process. Now, in early September, here we are after some refinement and some efforts to have more meetings and tell you the proposals at this point. Now, nothing is finalized. Nothing will be finalized until December. The Population Analysis Committee makes recommendations to the board. We take your feedback, we take our analysis, and I go to the board in November and make a recommendation. The board can reject that recommendation, or they can approve it as an initial approval, or what they call a first reading. The final decision or final action by the board is not until December, the December board meeting, okay? So, again, I try to use the words proposals and potential and all of that as much as possible. If I get that wrong, please correct me, but these are proposals at this point, okay? These are some of the meetings. By the way, this PowerPoint will be on our website updated either tomorrow or at the latest by Friday. So there's a barcode, a QR code out front. If you haven't clicked on it, or you can just go to the Brandon District front page and go, and we'll have this entire PowerPoint on there to view. As Dan also mentioned, it is being recorded and it will be posted. Okay? Brandon District Board approval initially, again back in February. We had network school community council meetings as well as community meetings back in the spring. We did send out email notifications and information on these studies and on the website, a postcard mailer to all households, so thousands and thousands of mailers, not just to students and patrons, but we want to involve everyone that lives here, because everyone has a stake in this. Whether you have a child, a grandchild, a great-grandchild, or no children, these are big decisions, and we want them to be community decisions. We also sent letters to elected officials. We came back and had other meetings. We joined the Hunter Network Community Night. Sorry, that's cut off on the bottom. There were 2 community events that I attended the last couple of months in Kearns specifically, and then the board again approved this initial proposal in July. So just to give you some idea of the community outreach that we've had over the last 6 to 8 months. Well, there we go. At the top, you can't see it, but it's a big question. Why? So I talked about schools being too large. Why is it a problem or a concern that we feel like they're too small? If you watch the news at all, you've seen other districts going through this. And not just a district like Granite, where we're going down overall. I don't know if you noticed Alpine School District, which is growing like crazy, and they still are considering the closure of 3, 4, maybe even 5 schools. Jordan School District, growing, they are still closing schools. They understand what we understand. When populations shift over time, areas get more mature. This is one of those areas. Schools, again, can be too small. Let's talk about that. And again, I absolutely take as many questions as we need to. By the way, I'll stay here as long as you want me to tonight. And
just real quick, when we talk about optimizing elementary school size, he's going to talk about that a little bit more on the coming slides. I was just contacted today by another school district in the area asking about our process and our procedure for school closure, because we're, again, not the only school district who's kind of mature and is starting to lose and see a decline in the student population. I want to be really unequivocal here. Western Hills is not being considered for closure because the students have done anything wrong. Our students are amazing, our staff is amazing, and this is an amazing school and community. And these are not easy decisions. And so I just want to be really clear that these kids are awesome. The staff and the principal are doing an amazing job. There's a lot of factors that go into these proposals, and he's going to kind of talk us through some of those challenges we face.
These next two slides are critical to understanding our approach and philosophy as a Granite District and the board and other districts that are using the same things that they got from us. But let me go through these quickly. First one, when you have smaller schools, and how we define smaller schools is a school of less than 3 teachers per grade level. We're talking elementary schools at this point, not secondary schools, elementaries. When you get less than 3 teachers on average per grade level, certain things start to happen consistently. We've seen this for years now and been able to follow the data. Now, by the way, some grades might have 2, some might have 1. There's split grade levels. That's what I want to talk about. Split grade level classrooms. Has anyone ever had a child in a split grade level? That means 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 3 and 4, and so on. Okay. We have some amazing teachers in this district, and they do an incredible job. And oftentimes, they get the most out of every child. However, is split grade level classrooms ideal? No. The data tells us that. Despite how good the teachers are, despite how great the parents are and the support and the students, it's not ideal. We would rather have 1 grade level per classroom. That's how curriculum is designed. That's how materials are designed. That's more ideal. Okay? So split grade level classrooms we see a lot in smaller schools. I don't know if we're there quite yet, but in my understanding, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, I know some of the classes this year are being supplemented by other soft monies and district monies. When that money is not there next year, especially a lot of the ESSER funds and other funds that came because of COVID, when that money is not there, I anticipate next year you would have some of these split grade level classrooms. Okay, she's not on her hand in agreement. Okay. 2, lack of parental choice to match learning style and increase student success. We have many schools that we've gone through this process with that have had 1 teacher in a grade level, even 2. If you've had 2 teachers per grade level, we often see an imbalance for many reasons. Maybe one is a veteran, superstar, 25-year teacher. Everybody loves this teacher. Then the other teacher in third grade is a brand new teacher. Is going to be a superstar. What's a brand new teacher? And parents typically say, please put me in the other class. Or there's just what we'll call it a personality misalignment between students and teachers, or for whatever reason. But we see if there's only 2 teachers per grade level, we will have 1 class with as low as 12 to 15, the other class has 25 to 30. That happens consistently. So we're trying to balance those out. PLCs and Granite Way, that's another way of saying collaboration. Most everything you'll see in an education environment, especially in elementary, is about that collaboration with teachers and other teachers in the grade level. The data has shown over and over and over that the more that collaboration happens, there's a synergy that happens, and it's a significant increase for the students with that collaboration. That's why we're sold on it. So collaboration suffers when you only have 1, sometimes 2. We can get a minimum of 3, sometimes even 4, and that's the goal. We see increased data. And that's what we're talking about here, difficult team teaching. Next, this one's huge. Reduced per pupil funding can create lack of funds for extra staffing. I'm hesitating just to get your attention on this one. It's so important. Remember that there's a student-to-teacher ratio. The more students you have, the more teachers you'll have. If there's you have about how many teachers, maybe 10, 11? Yeah, 12. Okay. 27.25. That's the average that the district uses. That says if you have so many students, you divide that by 27.25. That's how many teachers you get. So if you have a lot more students, you get more teachers. So when you combine if this school or any other school is combined, and let's say you have 500 students or 750 students, that does not make class sizes larger. That just means you have more teachers. Class size, in fact, tends to balance out and level out closer to that 25 to 27 range, the closer you can get to 3, 4, 5 teachers per grade level. Okay? Again, if you have 2 or 1, there's imbalances. Here's the key though. Every school gets the same number or the same amount of money based on students. The difference is there are other monies that come into schools. Trust lands especially, other grants and other monies that are given to schools based on the number of students. And those kind of come in lump sums. Those are the types of monies that keep paraeducators, special education aides, lunch duty, playground duty, school psychologists, social workers. There's about 10 others. There are all kinds of things that or the schools need that are the glue to a school that I hear all the time from principals. By the way, I'm a former principal. I'm an educator. I'm a former teacher, former principal for 17 years. So I'm not telling you this just from a business number perspective, okay? But there's so many things that happen with these other monies that don't come when you have a smaller school. I'll come back to that in a minute. A few other things. This one's critical. It's harder to maintain effective school community councils, PTAs, other parent volunteer efforts because there are simply fewer parents to draw from. This is simply a math problem. When you have fewer parents and you still have to fill all of these other committees and assignments, I see heads nodding already, but typically it's the same parents doing the community council, PTA, other fundraisers, and assignments year after year after year. And what we've seen is parents get burnt out, and it's hard because it's unfair to ask the same parents to do the same things. Or parent volunteers. There are so many things that come that need to happen and do happen, have to happen in a smaller school, but also happen in a large school, and it's simply you don't have the parents or patrons to help as much. That doesn't mean that a smaller school has any less passionate, caring parents. Absolutely not. It's just simply a numbers game. One person or a small group of people can only do so much. And similarly, it's almost the same. Teacher workload. Fewer teachers and staff to fill the same number of committee assignments required for all schools. All of those things that still have to be done. We have teachers every year that say, I need a transfer. I love the students. I love my community. But I'm tired. I can't do all that after 10 years, 12 years, so many years, of doing it. So teacher burnout is a real issue. Again, you can check. I've talked with my counterparts in other districts. These issues are consistent across the board in other districts. This is not a Granite District issue. This is something we see consistent. There's one ineffective classroom can greatly impact school grade level data. This is not my favorite conversation because I'm not a huge fan of the way the state or legislators sometimes decide how schools are viewed or graded. But just like students receive grades, schools can receive grades. At least according to that's the perception. So if certain data at a school, test scores and other data, a school gets a grade. Now, when a person is moving into an area or considering buying an area or building in an area, what's one of the first things they do, especially if you're not from the area? You go to websites and you start looking at the schools. And you look at school data and you look at the grade. The fewer teachers you have at a school, the more likely 1 or 2 struggling teachers will affect that data. That doesn't even mean you're bad teachers. But if you're in a school that, for whatever reason, last year you had 5 veteran teachers retire, sometimes it happens in bubbles, and now you have 4 or 5 new teachers, that can affect your data. Or let's say you have 6 or 7 teachers that all this data is dependent upon, and even one of them goes out because they have a health issue long term, and there's a long-term sub, that can affect the data. All of those things, that's not my favorite, but it's a reality that I want to make everyone aware of. Last two quickly, efficient use of administrator and student-teacher ratios. I put these two at the end, and it's okay, I hear all the time, hey, Granite District is simply doing this to try to save some money. It's not worth it, believe me, to go through this entire process to save money. Is there some money saved? Some, but it's a drop in the bucket compared to not doing it in the expense. So in other words, if you have a Granite District, if you have close to $1 billion budget, and you save maybe $500,000 on utilities and upkeep and things like that, okay, that's nothing, but it's not worth going through the process. The reason we do this is going back to the student outcomes and opportunities. That's the reason. Are these part of the formula? Part of what we consider? Sure. Because we get asked all the time. 5, 6 years ago, the Granite District was trying to pass a bond, and thank you for all that voted for it, because it did pass. Well, we asked people in meetings just like this, will you vote for the bond? And a lot of people came to these meetings, probably like some of you, that didn't have students anymore and said, look, I'll vote for it. However, I think we have too many schools now. Maybe consider closing some schools. And we looked in the eye and said yes, and some of our board members looked and said, well, absolutely consider it, we'll do the studies, because they understand it. So in other words, we have to also respond to the taxpayers, and it's a legitimate concern. Last part of that is simply, that's what I'm saying, not a fiscally responsible use of building district resources. If you can combine some schools and make it better, at the very least be the same, but you seem better, then it should be considered. Okay? So these are some of the highlights. There are other reasons. But if I have, just for a second, directors, can you just raise your hand one more time, mostly in this area? What do I have? Like elementary directors and others? Okay, I won't put you on the spot and ask you to speak, but how often have we had the conversation, and you've had a conversation with principals about these issues? A lot? Head nod? Yeah. So, these are real, and we can go into more detail. So let's jump into the detail. Probably what you came for. This is the proposal at this point. Remember, I'm going to say that again. This is a proposal. Nothing is done. Nothing is decided until the board decides that. The board has very, very tough decisions to make every year on these. By the way, the reason we have the lights off is to make sure you can see this. We couldn't get this to be any brighter, so we thought we could use some light from the back, and I might be able to hide when you guys look at this. This striped area, orange background, and a green stripe, is the current Western Hills boundary. This is Silver Hills Elementary, of course, 5600 West. You know, of course, that some of these Silver Hills students live in this area also. The Beehive Elementary. This is also part of Silver Hills. The Bacchus, Diamond Ridge down here, Bridger, just to kind of get your bearings. This proposal is suggesting that Western Hills Elementary closes. All of the students here would become part of and start going to Silver Hills Elementary. This part of Silver Hills would then be bounded into Beehive Elementary. Okay, not that complicated, and I can go back and forth. I'm going to show you this table. This table will highlight it. And again, this is all going to be online. You can see this for yourself. This is just some of the data. I'll give you school start times. You'll notice those start times are a little different, obviously. year the schools were built, 1962, 1985, 23-year difference. FCI, what does that mean? Facility Condition Index. 5, 6, everyone's attention, maybe. I think it was 5 or 6 years ago, we had a team of engineers go to all of the, not just schools, but any building in the district, and give it a ranking of 1 to 100, because we got 100 properties. 1's worst, 100 is best, so they're like the newest schools. We have approximately 65 elementaries, and so South Kearns would be near the top, like 64, 65. Walker would be the same way. So the team of engineers came in and looked at everything, not just for the people, not just what the school looked like, but there were about 50 different categories where they looked. From lighting to carpet to structure to bricks to unreinforced masonry in some of our older buildings to the heating, ventilation, air conditioning systems. You name it, there are a lot of categories. This team would spend 2 or 3 days in each building to give us a good idea of what that looked like. Then in return, not only do we get a ranking, but we use that to get a kind of a schedule for remodels and rebuilds throughout the district. Long story short, that simply means that Silver Hills is approximately a 35, Western Hills 23, and we have worse, of course, and it's not bad considering the age of the building, but that's the facility condition index for each of those buildings.
This would be a good time to mention, and if you go to our tsdfuture.org website, it has all of our capital or building plans and strategies. On that list, West Kearns Elementary right here is actually the next slated rebuild for this particular community. And so in the next few years, you're going to see plans being adopted for reconstruction of West Kearns Elementary, and Kearns Junior is not that far behind that as well. So we do have a capital strategy to address our needs with respect to that. But I will tell you, when we first passed the original bond back in 2009, we had $1 billion capital deficit problem. And as costs have increased dramatically for construction, you notice if you try to build a new home or remodel a home, costs have escalated upwards of 50% in just a few years period of time. And that has delayed some of our projects to where we're at today. So West Kearns will be rebuilt. It's the next school slated in the entire district to be rebuilt. I also want to take an opportunity. We saw Clark Nelson, one of our board members, come in. He's back here. He's actually sitting over by Todd Hopper, who's our business administrator, and our superintendent, who I work directly for, to represent tonight. He could not be here tonight. He had another school event that he was attending, but he has attended previous meetings as well, and we'll have a chance to review this information as well. So please know that all of your comments that we're collating tonight are being recorded. Dana, our awesome staff, is back there. She's taking vigorous notes. All the comments that get submitted are actually available as soon as possible online. So you can actually go and see your comment that you get submitted on our website. You take away your name. So there's none of that, but we just want to be very transparent about this process and the information that we're receiving. Didn't mean to pitch off.
Thank you, Ben. Finally, you can see approximate current enrollment. Now, I know, for instance, Silver Hills has some special classes, special education, special classes. I counted for some of those, not all of them, because those vary from year to year. These are approximate enrollments. After all the movement that I showed you on the map, these will be the approximate projections for fall of 24. Which takes Beehive up closer to where we want it, closer to 550. And it's Silver Hills, in this case, right at pretty close to that magic number of 5 to 550. Okay?
And then just real quickly, Chloe Thurman, our board president, walked in as well. So I think we actually have 6 of our 7 board members here tonight. All 7 are here. Kim Chandler's here as well. Great. Thank you. I just wanted to extend our appreciation for that being here. run through some of the data to where we have gotten. Now, a lot of the information you have received has already been shared in previous meetings when we started this process back in February, and the previous meetings we held in this community. Now we've actually come to you. A lot of you asked at the last meeting, you're like, well, what's the proposal? And we didn't want to come to you with a proposal until we actually had a chance to listen and hear the concerns of the respective communities. And so we took all that data from March and April of those meetings and the comments that were provided to us then. We took that back to the committee, the Population Analysis Committee, and developed proposals over the summer. During the summertime, I don't know if Steve went through this exhaustively, we actually spent a lot of time looking at all the area that we were looking and considering potential closures, and we went through and we closed every school and what that would look like if that were to happen as a proposal and as just kind of a study guide and a way to initiate conversation with that committee. So each and every school in the study area was actually considered for closure. We looked at potentially closing 2 schools this cycle. Ultimately, PAC came down to 1 recommendation, and that's the one we have before you tonight. Our job here tonight is we've given you a lot of quantitative data. We've given you a lot of numbers and data. Now we really need to know and understand as Population Analysis Committee the qualitative data, which is what do we need to know that we don't really understand? What's missing from these numbers? What's the story behind this? What are the questions we can help respond to? And all that feedback again gets collated, put on the website, put before our board members, put before our entire committee. We will hold as many meetings as necessary before those November dates, and if we need to, go even longer to make sure, again, everybody has a chance to provide feedback. I even answered a question out in the hall when I was helping somebody. We will take as much time as necessary to be able to do that to make sure we have a good recommendation for the Board of Education in their November meeting. So now the time is yours. We would be very, you don't want to ask a question in front of everybody, that's just fine. We have ways for you to provide comment and feedback, and if you do give us those questions, we can respond to you directly via email or phone call. Again, if you don't get any feedback tonight, please don't stress. There's opportunities to go on the website. There's opportunities to send emails. You can call Steve or I at any time at the district office. They know how to find us. The number is 385-646-5000. Please contact us. We want to make sure people's questions get answered. And I'm going to excuse myself in about 5 minutes. But Steve will be here as long as necessary. I'm going to actually go to another one of these kind of meetings to do the same thing. So,
Thank you, Ben. Winnie, can we turn on the lights?
oh, there's a lot of people here.
How can, if we need to turn them back off to see things, if you're in the back, how clear is that? Not very? Okay. If we need to turn them back off, if I can just get somebody to help me over there to turn them back off so we can see it. Some of these things will be more clear. You guys are okay with them off? Okay. As it gets darker outside, maybe you'll just hear my voice and not see me. I'm going to say one more comment and then we'll start taking questions. And when we do take questions, don't we have a microphone in the back here? Raise your hand. Or we can form a line. We'll do our best to get you in the order that you raise your hand or stand up. And then we will so 2 things. So again, raise your hand and then we'll pass a microphone so everyone can hear you and so that the translation shows up here. Okay, one more thing. I've heard this a lot and it's pretty typical in most studies, especially when a school has been smaller, getting smaller for a while. Some people ask us in the beginning, the first meetings we had, are you closing Western Hills? Okay, where would that come from? Did I say that before? Did someone in the district say it? No. What happens is, as the Director of Planning and Boundaries, absolutely I keep my ear to the ground and talk to people. A lot of these things that come up in studies bubble up over years, months if not years. Have I been contacted about Western Hills and asked, hey, it's getting smaller, what is that going to mean for this area? I don't know, we're studying it. At the beginning of the study, I said very clearly, and people asked me, what about Western Hills? And a few other schools. I said, yeah, it's been on our radar, absolutely. I'm very aware of what's happening in that area. Please don't mistake that for a decision by the district. I know some people, and maybe we'll be able to convince you otherwise, but because some of the feedback says, you know, you've already made up your mind. We absolutely have looked at many options. It's on our radar, and it's been brought up to us, me, for a reason, because there are some triggers, there are some red flags, and maturing area and the lower numbers being one of those. So, have we been aware for several years? Absolutely. Has there been a decision made, even as of tonight? Absolutely not. Again, remind you that I only make recommendations. The board has the challenge of making that final decision. So, and I'll be glad to talk about that more if you want to, but I wanted to make that part clear because I was hearing that already, that, hey, you've already decided what we're going to do. So, one more thing. Gabby, you want to say something about transportation, then we'll jump into questions.
Yeah, hi, good night, good evening, everybody. I'm Dave Gabby. I actually grew up out here, so I know this community very well. We always get transportation questions anytime we change a boundary or close a school. I'm just going to quickly describe to you what state law says and then just tell you what we've already calculated so that we can present this to you as information. So state law says in an elementary school, any child who lives 1.5 miles or further away from a school would qualify for a bus. That's a long ways, and I understand that, but that is state law, and that's the funding formula that we get for schools. Earlier this week, I was able to come out here so that I could present. First, we run this through some real analytical data. It's a really big, expensive data package called GIS Analytics. And that tells us to the hundredth of a mile the distance from any house in the boundary to the school. And that distance is calculated from the place where your driveway meets the street to the first place you can step on school property from your home. It's very specific in state code. So our GIS analytics tells us there are no homes in this area that are more than 1.5 miles or further from Silver Hills Elementary. So we know that that means, by state code, there are no buses allocated. Then we go to kind of part B, which is, are there any really bizarre traffic situations or safety issues with getting the kids on that walking route? And what we found is I actually came out here. I was not very bright. I should have brought two people, one to drop me off and one to pick me up, but I just drove out here by myself. And I parked at Silver Hills Elementary, and I walked all the way. You guys will know this house, but it's right here on the corner, right? I walked the entire distance from Silver Hills to this house, from this house back to Silver Hills. I took Heath Avenue and then went on Midland Drive and just straight over the Sky Bridge and landed in Silver Hills both ways. I do know we always get that question about what if there's people on the sex offender registry between here and there. That condition literally exists in every neighborhood in the entire country. So that's not something that we say, eliminates a walking route. And we found no big hazardous traffic situations between here and there, especially in light of this is one of the very few schools, Silver Hills is, that has a sky bridge over a major roadway that dumps almost right out in the parking lot. So the transportation answer is that there are no buses that will be assigned to this school if this proposal passes. So there's no more 1.5 miles or greater that would enable us to put a bus in. Okay? I'm sorry, on the other side. Yeah, okay, so her question is, then we would be asking people south of that bridge to walk down to the Sky Bridge, but those folks can walk through the neighborhood to that Sky Bridge. They don't have to walk down 56, and they still wouldn't be 1.5 or better.
My question, I can usually scream.
Yeah.
You're expecting the kids on the south end
Over here?
in that area to walk all the way to the Sky Bridge, regardless if they walk 56 or have to cut through the neighborhood. And then cross. That's an incredible amount for these kids, little ones, to have to walk to hit that Sky Bridge. And what do they do in the winter when streets aren't plowed, sidewalks aren't plowed? 5,600 last year took forever to get plowed.
Great question.
Incredibly busy.
Yeah. I don't disagree with your assessment that 5,600 is it can be a crazy road. I went to Hunter High School and I traversed that many times, so I'm 100% with you. What I'm telling you is there's not a condition that would be 1.5 miles or greater where they would have to take 5,600 west. It took me about 23 minutes. Yeah. And just so you know, I just want to help you understand this. This isn't a Granite School District rule. This is a Utah State Code issue. This isn't us saying, hey, we don't want you to have a bus. We're saying we just don't get them to put it, the fund to put them in there. Yeah, for sure. That's why I'm giving you that information so that you can kind of put that into your feedback and you can. Yeah, the state doesn't make that allowance. They say it's a walkable distance, less than 1.5 miles. Oh, sorry. I'll come, just 1 second. I'll come right back to you. Go ahead.
If we divide the neighborhood, the Western Hills neighborhood, in 3 parts, 1/3 is going to Silver Hills right now, and 2/3 are staying in Western Hills. Why don't you give us back the third? Because it's less kids to move here instead of moving to
That's not a good question. He'll address that. I was going to address any last transportation questions and then I got to get to the other school.
I agree. Youth walking versus child walking is completely different. We have to look out for diversity and the way their minds will work when they're walking to different schools. Remember, if you transfer these kids to another school, all you're doing is having more kids and more teachers, which will cost more. Can't let go on strike because there's too many kids in one classroom. Very long factors on one kid in junior high. We have teachers and not enough of them are paying attention to them and helping them get the whole in the classroom all the time. Not a single teacher nor a principal do anything about it for a whole year. I almost told the top and reported a restraining order on the school, on the teachers, and the leader. And my son is like kids.
Thank you for that comment. And that will be things that they address. Does anybody have a last transportation question before I get? If it's not related to transportation, I'll turn it back over to this. Yeah, go ahead.
Can you make that announcement?
This one's better.
Pueden pasar y hacer una pregunta en español si lo quieren y podemos traducir, ¿ok?
Okay, my question is, I do understand the 1.5 rule with the state. It is the legislature that has set that law. But I do believe Granite District can all around that and provide the busing that's needed.
I'm going to give you the most definite answer you've ever heard. The school board can do just about whatever they want to do. Yes, so, yes, I'm going to tell you what state funding provides.
So in regards to the transportation issue, you guys say it's mostly due to funding. If you close the Fitness down, correct me if I'm wrong, you're saving money, right? So would it be in consideration to use that more money towards providing that busing for the students so they have safe trips?
Thank you for that idea. Yeah, something that they can consider.
Right. So my problem with transportation and information is I have students that comes to me, which we currently live 2 miles away. 2 mile drivers. Hey, I get up my car. My girls can't ride the bus. Do they get on the bus anyway? Yeah. It drops them off right outside Western Hills. So my 7-year-old has a way to go. But I can take my son up to that school at 7 years old. My oldest kids can't go. Me and my husband have to both work. And later she's studying at Lobster time. That's a customer issue for us at Lobster. Because at the end of Lobster time, when junior high and high school started at 7:30. I have this work for those 2 hours to get my son safely across the East Express when there's no buses provided. And the 1.5 thing is crap because my girls do night buses and we're over 2 miles from first.
Thank you for that feedback. Yeah, just a quick clarification on transportation distances. A secondary school, junior high or high school, is a 2-mile radius by the state statute. The elementaries are 1.5. Oh, go ahead, let me. This is a way better mic, so I'm just running it over.
Lo diré en español, no sé inglés. Yo soy madre soltera, tengo 8 años sola, he batallado con mis hijos, son 4. El año que viene, el de 10 años, pasa a Kearns y mi hija de 8 se queda solita. Entonces yo tengo que trabajar dentro de las 6:30, 7 de la mañana. Ellos se vienen caminando para la escuela. Yo tengo que estar pendiente en el trabajo de qué horas son, hablarles, hey, ya tienes que ir a la escuela, a qué hora llegan. Tengo cámaras, pero no tengo cámaras para.
She's saying that she's a single mother with 4 kids, and she has to work. And her younger child is she's 8 years old, and she's going to be here at school. And she will be concerned for her to be walking by herself to Silver Hills. She has to constantly remind them they have to come in, they have to get to school.
Tengo cámaras en mi casa, pero no tengo cámaras de mi casa a la escuela. Y si ustedes quieren que mi hija al otro año, que está solita, camine de aquí hasta allá, tiene que pasar la 56. Y los niños son niños. Los niños a veces no acatan reglas. Ellos no van a subir el puente, ni menos en la bici. Los niños, cuando se les haga tarde para la escuela, se les va a hacer más fácil atravesarse.
She says also that she's concerned that her little girl has to walk to Silver Hills. And during the snow time, when kids are kids, when kids are late, they are not going to go to the overpass. She's going to cross the street.
Entonces mi preocupación es, ellas, tanto como mi hija y muchos padres que somos trabajadores y tenemos la necesidad de dejarlos y que ellos caminen. Y si mi hija va a caminar una media hora, más de media hora, porque los niños no se van rápido, los niños caminan despacio y se distraen. Entonces, se le va a hacer más tiempo llegar a la escuela.
And she says that won't take an hour walking. It will take her longer, especially when it's snowing. And also because she won't go one part. She will get distracted and okay, and it will take them longer.
Thank you. Is there any other transport questions? If not, we'll get going. Oh, transportation? What's that? Yeah, come over here.
So getting married, I gotta give a speech. Hi everyone. So I understand that this is something that we haven't had a basis for because we used to have a whole bunch of students and they totally get the first part of the thing. Given that you are displacing 207 families pretty much essentially, there was a line put into the plan of maybe getting a couple buses. I mean, we take field trips every year, and it does take about 275 students, well, 6 buses, but to get them over there, now that you're displacing this many students, is that not something that you put in the time? Because as you said, no decisions have been made yet. Is it something that you could potentially?
That is stuff that they will present to the school board when we make that decision. I will just tell you, when you said just 6 buses, that is a huge cost. And a huge ongoing cost. So again, whatever the school board decides, I'm a good soldier and I'll make it work. So, okay. All right. Oh, is there one more? Oh, sorry, I can't hear you at all.
Mi nombre es Leonor, hasta el primer año. No tengo 4 o 5 hijos, no vivo lejos de acá. Lo que ustedes han mostrado acá son estadísticas, números, límites y evaluaciones cuantitativas de lo que va a pasar.
What we propose today are limits, equations, quantities of what is going to happen.
Pero la educación de nuestros hijos no es eso. No son límites, no son reglas. Y depender del consejo, ¿qué podemos hacer nosotros entonces para que no suceda eso? Si nuestra escuela es pequeña, como acá bien dijo la maestra, ¿por qué no dan más límites? Muchos van a tener problemas con transporte y con movilizarse.
Okay, she says why we don't enlarge our limits because you have given us statistics of what is going to happen, but why we don't find out what we need to do to help our school. I'm not
Así como hicimos un estudio, para eso hagan un estudio de todos los que estamos aquí pidiendo una mejor educación, no solamente con 1, 4, 5 hijos, sino con una comunidad, una familia que es aquí, el colegio.
So instead of doing studies about this, why don't you study our community to come up with a better plan to have a better schooling for our kids and help not only my child but everybody's child.
Okay, folks, I'm going to step out if I don't see any more transportation questions. What's that? I only answer the transportation questions. Yeah. You'll answer all those other ones. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gaddy. Just to try to answer your question. This one's another. Okay, real quick, I'm going to answer your question. I think what's going to be best, difficult, because I can't keep track of who's next. If we have you line up here, then use the one microphone, and we'll take questions from here, okay? To answer your question, instead of just moving boundaries, what are we doing to help Western Hills or other small schools? We talk about small school concerns. That is a big issue. we feel like having a certain number of students and teachers per grade level does that, increases student opportunities, student outcomes. That, in a nutshell, is the best thing we can do. Keep in mind, we've closed about 6 schools over the past 5 or 6 years, and we've seen that help those students that don't get the resources they need in a smaller school. It's what it's about, is having enough students that gives you enough resources to help all of those students. If the state legislature now can give us twice the money to hire twice the teachers, to have 15 students per teacher, that's fantastic. There are some things that have to be decided at the state, but based on the money that all the schools get now, the best way to accommodate and to help everyone is to have an optimal sized school, and we've seen over and over that absolutely is our best solution.
You keep saying that small schools don't give the same opportunity to children because during collaboration day, the teachers could be only 2 teachers, and it's better that there are more than 2 teachers. So we are giving you a solution. Bring back the rest of the neighborhood so our numbers increase. Also, we are concerned about parents driving on 56 because right now it's very hard to take that route. It's very busy. And if you are bringing 2/3 of the neighborhood driving through 56 or children crossing all over the crosswalk, it's going to be hard, very, very hard.
I want to make sure everyone has a chance. Let me answer this, please. I'm going to try to restate. I'm going to try to answer your question first. Restate, and let me know if I get this right. Basically, you're saying, I know that people have said, why does Western Hills have to go to Silver Hills? Why can't Silver Hills come here? Or why can't Western Hills give this area back over here, right? Okay, that's a good question. So let me answer that. Obviously, if you move this area back over here, Silver Hills is very small at that point. Okay, so you know, anytime you move students, it's going to affect someone else. So a lot of this comes back down to the building. It's not everything, but in this case, the building is a significant factor. When a building is 23 years older, and one of the biggest issues on this building is the heating, ventilation, air conditioning, the HVAC, air exchanges. That's one of the biggest advantages, and it's a lot newer. So the life cycle of Silver Hills is a lot longer, we anticipate, than Western Hills. On reinforced masonry, we have some safety concerns here about the age of the building and the design of the building, 1962. Yes, I'm very aware that this building fared pretty well during the earthquake. We know that. Every earthquake is different, but it did fairly well. But much more with bricks on reinforced masonry, and we have significant concerns. All of these things, it's not just enrollment and how many students are there. Safe walking routes are taken into consideration. In this case, the Population Analysis Committee leaned heavily and looked hard at building condition. It's probably the biggest issue that came up was building condition and the life of the building.
Okay. Take picture, see? Okay. Yo quiero saber, ¿ella okay. Okay. Ella, my name is Daniela, mi nombre es Daniela, y quiero comentarle algunas cosas y que me pueda responder. Entonces, la primera que se me hace muy importante, escuché detalladamente todos sus puntos y les voy a hacer llegar un correo porque sus estadísticas son válidas, pero siento que tenemos muchas estadísticas mucho más válidas Ejemplo,
I listened to your statistics and I'm going to respond with an email because your statistics were important, but I feel that our statistics are more important. So, first of all,
ejemplo, nos hablan de los niños y los números de la antigüedad hoy en día. En la antigüedad las madres tenían 6, 8 hijos, hoy en día tenemos 2, como máximo 3. Entonces, los niños no son un número, los niños son importantes.
you are comparing before and now about the sizes of the families. Before the mothers would have 6 kids and now 2, 1 kid, and you are counting numbers, but the children are not numbers.
Compramos una casa en el sector por la escuela. Tengo 3 hijos y no quería que tomaran autobús porque mi hijo mayor fue víctima de bullying en el autobús del colegio en su antigua escuela. Entonces el autobús para mí no es tema porque no tuve solución.
We moved to this area and we bought a home close to the school because I wanted my kids to go to work. For me, the solution is not for them to take a bus because my son was fully in the bus. So that's not a solution to us. And that's why we bought our home here because there is a school that is close.
Mis hijos vienen de una escuela construida hace 1 año y medio atrás, Holiday Walter, y la verdad, esta escuela es 10 veces mejor que la escuela que acaban de construir. Esto no se trata de establecimiento.
This is not about the building. I came from Olive Walker, that is a newer school, but this is not about the building. She prefers this school.
Tenemos docentes de calidad. Entonces, no entiendo que ahí ponen como que los docentes quizás pueden sufrir algún tipo de enfermedad o algo así. Ahora, tengo una pregunta. ¿Tenemos docentes hoy en día acá? Por allá está la secretaria de la escuela. También vi a la directora. Por acá quiero salir.
She's asking how many staff members are here.
¿Ya? Mi pregunta es para ellos. Mi pregunta es para ellos. Primero agradecerles por darse el tiempo de estar acá. Y mi pregunta es, ¿ustedes se sienten cansados en esta escuela? ¿Como nos explican?
No.
She wanted the staff to raise their hand because she wanted to know how many staff members. Because he was mentioning that they get burned out because they work harder. So she wants our staff members to raise their hand if they feel burned out in this school.
Esta escuela también nos proporciona alimentos, nos proporciona un food bank, pero esta escuela también proporciona un centro para padres.
This school provides to us meals, food bank, and also has a family center.
Tengo una hija de 2 años que es Claudia y ella está aprendiendo las letras en el centro para padres. Y yo sé que esta otra escuela no cuenta con lo mismo.
My daughter is 2 years old and she's attending the community center and she's learning her ABCs. The other school doesn't have that support.
Esta mañana, durante la mañana, pasé por el puente donde estaban los niños cruzando y definitivamente ese puente en invierno no se va a poder cruzar.
This morning I drove under the bridge bridge. And definitely, I think that that bridge cannot be crossed during winter.
Finalizo por decir que lo que buscamos para nuestros hijos es calidad. Y en esta escuela, Westerfield tiene calidad. Lo necesitamos, no lo tenemos.
What we need for our kids is quality, and this school has quality, so we don't want to leave our school.
Por último, propongo que traigamos de vuelta a todos esos niños que hoy día yo vi cruzar ese puente, algunos llorando, sin ganas de querer subir por ahí. Quizás tienen vértigo, pero no hay ni siquiera cruce peatonal. Propongo traer de vuelta a esos niños acá, como corresponde.
I propose to bring back those kids that have to cross the overpass. I saw some kids crying this morning. Probably they didn't want to cross the overpass.
Yeah. Thank you.
So I am a 31-year-old. I've lived in the neighborhood for 31 years. My children attended Western Hills, and they are now productive adults who actually make more money than my husband and I. So they are a success, which represents the great things that happen within the walls of this building. Since I don't have kids here, my main concern is the safety of these children. I love this neighborhood. I love the children in this neighborhood. And I am very greatly concerned about them having to cross over to Silver Hills Elementary. I understand Silver Hills actually sustained damage in the earthquake. We did not. Silver Hills is an old building as well. It's a much smaller building lot than what we have here. I think it makes better sense to rebuild a new school here. On this property, it would be far easier to repurpose the building up there because it could become part of the golf course. It could maybe become a satellite city building for West Valley City. They have a whole bunch more money than funds. Funds does not have the funds to repurpose the building. My other concern is how many kids live on. I think I talked to you earlier, Steve, and you told me 120 kids live on our side that go to Silver Hills.
Still approximately that number, right?
And how many, so we're going to have almost 400 kids, 350, 400 kids crossing over an overpass, and there's only 120 that have to stay over there, if even that. Yes, I've lived here long enough. My uncle used to work out at Hercules. My uncle used to work out at Hercules. When I told him where I bought a house, he said, "You're crazy, I've never lived out here," knowing what goes on over there in that property. Northrop Grumman still operates a business over there, and they explode, they're into the rocket missile business, and they're just due west of Silver Hills. They're exploding rocket fuel on a regular basis. The whole time I've lived here, we've had an emergency contingency plan in case of a fire and explosion. And we're a lot further away from it here than Silver Hills is. The other concern, in fact, West Valley City has special ordinances for that. They have a map, and until last year, they were included in that area where they had to have special building ordinances. My other concern is it's right across the Mountain View corridor from Brody Chemical. Not very far from Brody Chemical. They could easily have to back over there and make coffee students in Silver Hills. Not to mention, the Mountain View corridor and 5600 West generate a lot of pollution. I'm an educator by profession. I've seen a study that students' test performance goes down when they're exposed to air pollution as well. We can mitigate it inside of the building, but we have no ability to mitigate it outside of that building. And I think elementary kids spend an hour a day outside at recess and before and after school.
I mean, there's a lot in there.
Let
me try to get a couple of those quickly, and if I miss somebody else's, I'll be glad to come back. The air pollution issue we see that a lot in the feedback, and that goes back to the building and the design and the capability of the building. The air handling units and air exchanges, they're called in the building, how often the air exchanges the air, or the building exchanges air for kids and people, are significantly better. So even though at Silver Hills, even though it's that much closer to the ATK or whatever they're calling it over there now, everything over there, and industrial areas, the air quality is actually better there. And the other thing that our energy managers have told us is that, unfortunately, combine that with how low this area is, and pollutants and particulates tend to settle in lower areas. So looking at just air quality, despite it being closer to the corridor and closer to those commercial areas and buildings and everything, that the air quality is indeed better inside. I know that. Now, I can't speak always outside, but that's part of the air quality issue that's come up.
Yeah. So I guess in conclusion, Steve and anyone else who is in charge of making this decision, would you feel comfortable having your children walk the route that our transportation guy did on a daily basis? Would you have your children or grandchildren do that on a daily basis? I know I would not. Thank you.
I'll try to answer that question for you. As a parent of 5, and when they were younger, my kids were younger, we were in West Jordan. The school was about 1.2 miles. Did I like it? Did not like it. Absolutely not. Did we have a bus? No. We have carpools, we have the walking buses where kids come in groups, things like that. And some days they did walk. As a parent, absolutely, I get it. If we want to lobby the state legislature to change those standards of 1.5 for elementary and 2 for secondaries, I am all for it. And if we can get more money to buy more buses and hire more drivers, and so we don't have to do that, I'm all for it.
My parent would be, why don't we just close Silver Hills and move kids over there? That would be only 120 kids crossing the bridge versus 3.
We have fewer, and then we have the other side of that coin, remember, of the building issues that are significant concern here. The age of the building and the air quality in the building.
And Steve, we also have to recognize we live in a day of school choice. And we're in this era of school choice where people have a choice. We have a population of people who are super happy here. And we don't want, I love public schools. I'm a strong advocate of public schools. But, I don't want us to drive our neighborhood schools away, because I think that's one of the things we're seeing. It's a missing piece in our society because of the school choice. Everybody's spread out. And I think there is a huge advantage to neighborhood schools, and we need to make it so that it's a safe, walkable sort of a solution.
Understand, absolutely. And again, there's not much I disagree with on principle. When I go to Silver Hills and I hear and I listen to them, they're saying, wait a second, why should my kids have to walk down there? Same issue. I get it. There's more. There's fewer there. I mean, this is the way. I get that. And then on the other side, what they're telling me is, if the building quality is what it is down there, why would you send us into a building with lesser air quality and more dangers, and it's going to have to be replaced sooner? If everyone comes here, and let's say you mentioned maybe the golf course, USANA wants to take over that building, and who knows what, then sooner we're replacing this building, not at district cost necessarily. Remember, the district doesn't pay for this. All of us do. Taxpayers, bonds, pay the current rate for an elementary is 30 to 35 million, and so yeah, all of those are legitimate concerns. There are legitimate concerns over there, I haven't heard any concerns here that I can really disagree with. What we're doing, guys, remember, is trying to come up with the best solution possible. There's no perfect solution here. No matter what we choose, even doing nothing has a consequence. Even doing nothing has a consequence. So it's a matter of adding up, and that's my job with the PAC and the board, is to add up all of these positive, negatives, advantages, disadvantages, issues, and say, which one tips the scales? There's nothing wrong with this school. It's an amazing school. This is one of the best turnouts I've had. Really?
Thank you.
I'd like to thank everyone who's come.
Real close.
The school board, I'd like to thank everyone who's come, school board members, the district officials, appreciate you coming. Through this process, we've seen some irregularities. Gosh, I have to thread up my mouth here. And so I think we really need to step back and re-look at this for another year. Let's delay this another year, and so we can make the right decision, because closing a school is permanent. We can't reopen it once the building's sold or whatever. Let's step back and make sure that we're making the correct decision that's best for everyone involved.
Let me just, that's sort of a response, because this always comes up. You say you can't reopen a building, and that's generally true. A lot depends on what happens to the building. Ironically, the other meeting that's happening right now, the other part of this study, is a study to consider reopening of Brockbank Junior High. Okay, a little different situation because of reconfiguration, but consideration of reopening the building. Now, pretty unusual. What happens to a building when it closes? I want to hear everyone. I'll stay as long as I just also want to answer this question because I get it every time. What happens to a building if it closes? The board, it's a board decision. Our board, current board, is very, very hesitant to sell properties. If a decision is made by the board to sell or surplus a property, the community, the municipality it sits in gets first dibs, first right of refusal. Long story short, we don't just let a school building sit and become a problem or a nuisance. We typically don't want to sell properties because if something does happen in the future and we need this property for who knows what, a new building, district facility, who knows what, we're hesitant to sell properties. There was a property sold about 10, 12 years ago, Granite High. I don't think we've had one since then. All of them have been leased to as parks or other facilities, and the district is maintaining those.
Excuse me. I'm a playground leader here. Have been for 15 years. And it comes to my mind that we're not dealing with numbers. I'm talking for the kids. These kids should not have to cross 5600 West. No kids should. How many schools in the district have elementary schools that cross 5600 West?
Seriously, right? Okay, let me answer this part. Should you have to cross 5600 West? I sure hope not. Now, we have many boundaries of schools, elementary included, across major roads in our district. Okay, for most, it's not perfect, but having that ped bridge is a huge advantage. I know not every student will use it. We encourage and do everything possible, but having a ped bridge to across 56 is something that most areas do not have. And yes, we have many, many that do have similar crossings as 56.
Okay. 56 also has speed limit signs which are really suggestions. Another problem I have, Title I. Western Hills has a very high percentage of Title I students. Silver Hills does not have, they had their Title I removed, and they fought to get it back and lost. What happens to those kids?
Okay, let me answer. Title I. Lost my clicker. We're talking, here it is. Title I. Title I is basically about demographics and free and reduced lunches. Silver Hills, you are correct, at one time until recently had Title I status, which means extra money and extra resources. If this proposal went through and Western Hills became part of Silver Hills, those resources combined, I can't promise, I'm not in charge of it, but it makes total sense to me. Talking to Aaron Wilson, who runs Title I for the district, he says he sees no reason why then Silver Hills would not become Title I. I cannot guarantee that from day one. In fact, I'm not sure it will happen from day one because typically most data districts are 1 year behind. They use last year's data for resources this year. But from everything I've seen, yes, we would assume going forward that these two combined would be Title I and have those resources.
It's also my understanding that Silver Hills is still dealing with repair work to be done from the earthquake. Silver Hills still has work to be done from the earthquake.
I'm not aware of any. Especially nothing that would be a safety issue. Those are done immediately. If there's something I can look into that, I'm not aware of any issues in Silver Hills.
The last one here, that's still on. They had substantial damage from the earthquake. We didn't get any of that. This building, I defy anyone to go around the inside or outside of this building and find one crack. I'm out there all the time. There are no cracks in Western Hills, not even on the floor.
I don't disagree. The thing about earthquakes is a little bit like tornadoes because they can hit and miss. I mean, Westlake, we know, was hit so bad they had to tear it down. And that's further east from here. But it kind of depends on where faults are. Who's to say the next earthquake, if it's just that much different or comes this direction? I don't know. All I do know is what we do know about this building, and that's seismic concerns.
Okay. Actually, if you look back at the map, we are closer to Beehive than we are to Silver Hills. Why don't we just move kids over to Beehive? Well, it's not our fault that Silver Hills was built to be surrounded by a golf course and an amphitheater. That is part of the problem. They took some of our kids to start with just to fill up that school. That's what they did with some of the Beehive kids. Beehive's getting theirs back. We don't get ours back. We get shoved up there. What's the sense in that? When you could eliminate the whole 56 West thing by just giving us back everything east of 5600 West. And then if you're going to have the counseling in 5600, because I know these kids and kids in general, somebody's going to try to cross and they're going to get killed. I hold the district responsible if they do. Unless you can talk UDOT and make a 20-mile-per-hour limit on 5600 West from 5400 South to the end of the area that we're talking about.
So 20 miles per hour school zone, right there by
the school zone, and enforced by police on a regular basis because those speed limits are only suggestions. We have had accidents that hit the bottom of their walkway going across. In fact, the parents of two of our students, about 10 years ago, were killed in a wreck hitting that. So it is not safe even at that. If we can talk and get them to put it in a 20-mile-per-hour speed limit enforced by police on a regular basis, then basically I think that might make it safer than it is now.
We are glad to we have a committee that advocates, works with municipalities on those issues. We, of course, don't control roads or even crossing guards, but we can advocate. Schools can submit a safe walking route and ask whoever owns the road, believe it may be a state road, but whoever owns it to consider the school zone there. But that would be up to whoever owns the road.
And of course, that crossway was originally put there, I think, for Thomas Jefferson. That was built before Silver Hill. So it was never intended for an elementary school crossing.
Okay, thank you.
I have a couple of comments first and some questions. Despite what we're being told, it kind of feels like a decision has already been made, and you're just trying to convince us to happen. Now to my questions. You guys say we are low on students, so why did you send our sixth graders to junior high? They could have stayed here like most other schools do, and that would have boosted our numbers as well. And then,
let me answer this part of it real quick. As part of the decision that's going on in this area now is reconfiguration. When Cypress High opens, then there are enough buildings, secondary buildings, to move 6th grade up and then 9th grade up. Now, why? Keep in mind that if you move 6th grade up, obviously that changes your overall enrollment, but it does not change teachers for grade level. And that's what we're trying to accomplish, is teachers for grade level, whether it's K-5 or K-6, but teachers for grade level. What we're trying to do is focus on the elementaries where we know the critical learning happens earliest, and that's part of it, is combining those resources to make sure we catch learning.
okay, so does Silver Hills have empty classrooms? Because if they're not, they have empty classrooms?
Sure, they have plenty of capacity to handle the students in the world.
No, that's not what I asked. Do they have empty classrooms?
Yeah, not every one of them. Now,
because how are we going to fit all of the kids? And for that matter too, is every single teacher here going to go to Silver Hills, or how many teachers will be put out of the job because of that?
Okay, your first question. Do they have 12 empty classrooms or 10? No, most schools don't. Because even if you don't have a classroom with students in, just like here, you'll have a dorm room, you'll have a PTA, you'll have things in those rooms. But there is enough capacity to recoup those classrooms. There's plenty of capacity to handle students going from here to there.
Your idea of capacity is probably different than mine. I already think our classrooms are too big as it is. And we're just going to make it even worse.
So remember what I said earlier, this kind of goes to the next part. Do these teachers follow these students? Teachers in general follow the number of students. I don't know for sure. That's an HR, human resources question. And they will have to come out and review. They will have to come out and review certifications. I can tell you my history in the last 2 years of doing this is most teachers want to follow the students, and if there's a room there and the certification matches, why wouldn't you? If you're Silver Hills principal, why wouldn't you want those teachers that know those students, right? So most of them do. Some teachers say, hey, if the school's closing, I want to take advantage and I want to live closer to home. There's some by choice. But most that want to go do get the opportunity. I cannot speak for all of those.
Regarding how this affects Silver Hills. I don't have kids that come here to Western Hills. It's an amazing school, but I just live in the Silver Hills boundaries. So with them absorbing this entire school, the amount of teachers, because at my son's school, we already have 30 kids per class. Now I know you said that the teachers
it's an HR issue, all that. But in the end, is it going to be approved for these teachers to go to this school so that they can have a class size that isn't 50 kids to one teacher?
I would go back to what I said earlier. Remember, there's an average. It's never perfect, right? 27. Some are smaller, some are larger. But we know that the closer we get to a minimum of 3 teachers per grade level, if not 4, the more balanced all of those classes become. And you don't have those real low and real high classes. So, again, is that basically what you were saying? We should have any classes in elementary with 50 students. Right?
But what I'm asking is, as the district, is it actually going to be approved, or is this just in your proposal where, well, this is what should happen, but doesn't mean what's going to?
Are you suggesting we need to move? I mean, everything is a proposal.
I understand that the proposal, the school closing, we move all that to proposal, but as part of that proposal, is Silver Hills going to get the help that it needs as far as teacher volume to absorb this?
Right.
Or
again, that's an absolute, that resources come with students. The more students you have, the more teachers you have. The more students you have, the more resources you have. That's kind of in a nutshell what I'm trying to get at tonight is we believe with more students at the right size, not too big, we don't want 1,000 students up there,
right.
But at the right size, we have the right number of resources to balance those classes and provide other helps as needed.
Right, and I understand like it's a balance and we're having to do that. But what I'm asking is it actually going to happen, or is it just in a proposal so that it passes?
Board policy is number of students as a ratio for number of students and teachers. So that has to happen.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Hi, Steve. Thank you for being here tonight. I think it sucks really bad that your counterpart left because obviously there's quite a few of us that are extremely passionate. Just a couple things that you've talked about. First, you've talked about the age of the school a number of times. Okay, my father graduated from South High. I graduated college from South High. Okay, age ain't nothing but a number. Our kids are currently numbers. If you look up at your graph right there, all of that dark green and the purple and the dark green up there, followed by our red, I left Sugar House of 13 years. I moved my kids the heck out of there. 37 kids per class is ridiculous. I have a child that struggles, okay? She has struggled since day one. We're lucky if we can get her out the door to school. We moved out here because of the smaller class sizes. We came to Western Hills. She was given the Presidential Award last year for education from this school. My daughter is excelling in school because there isn't 37 kids in her classroom. Her anxiety, how can you tell me that there won't be when that parent that just spoke said there's 30 right now, and you're moving 290 kids additional? That parent that just spoke said there's 30 in her son's class. You have 300 more students over there? Tell me how that's not possible.
I'm not suggesting that we don't have any. Again, 27.25 is the average. I agree. If it could be less than that, let's get the legislature and give us some more money. Can there be that many? You're going to find every school where you're going to have some highs and some lows.
There doesn't have to be.
What the data tells us is that the closer we get to 3 and 4 teachers per grade level, the less that happens. The less that happens.
The ratio in the surrounding areas right now is 23 to 1 per teacher. You talk about teacher burnout. It's not because of the smaller schools. It's because of these larger schools and the teachers that have 33 students. That's Kearns Junior, and I have hit at the high school. Burnout is not from the smaller schools. Burnout and the lack of teachers right now is, my niece teaches 6th grade. I cannot tell you how hard it is for her to maintain that amount of students. I am talking to you from a parent's perspective, not a district school boundaries. Correct, okay? As a parent, Steve, your kids had to walk that mile in West Jordan. My 7-year-old is going to have to walk that mile in Kearns. I'm sorry, but that's a huge difference.
I'm a kindergarten teacher here at Silver, I'm sorry, not at Silver Hills, at Western Hills. And I noticed that we have a lot of new families here that are new this year, so I just wanted to say thank you for being here. I was hoping we could go back to the slide that talks about small school concerns, so I can address some of those concerns about how Western Hills is actually atypical for a small school. So if we can't go back to the slide, I can remember. So we keep talking about how, okay, so there's some of these concerns I can't personally address, but some of them I can. So, as far as like the PLC and grant away processes being less effective, that's not true for us. So our PLCs are highly effective.
She's talking about collaboration.
Collaboration among the teams.
You're suggesting that here, in Western Hills, they're not less effective.
They're not less effective. We are a small school, and while the data might be true of other small schools, many of those data points aren't true for Western Hills.
Okay.
So our PLCs are highly effective. That means we collaborate very effectively on the grade level teams. Even this year, so also addressing the lack of parental choice to match learning styles, that's also not true this year alone. Within the first couple weeks of school, we decided that a few students might be better in another class. We have really good communication between the teachers, so we always make sure that the students are in the classroom that is best suited to their needs. Let's see. And then as far as saying that it's difficult to team teach, that's also not true for our school. We have small group arrangements where some students go into the other teacher's class and vice versa, so that their individual needs, interventions, or extensions are always addressed. And our school data is there to prove that.
So I have 2 kids that live here, and my youngest last year, for the first time in his life, got an award. He got striped by an honor, and I was really proud. This year, my daughter has gotten striped like never in their life have they ever gotten anything like that. We've been to other schools before where classrooms have been overpopulated. But one of my concerns right now is also, you're planning on closing West Kearns, that way you can rebuild it. Why not change the boundary a little bit so that way West Kearns children go to Western Hills?
Let me answer at least part of that. West Kearns is scheduled to be rebuilt. Have we considered closing that building because it is like number 1, 2, top 2 or 3 for the FCI, and then have those students come here? But the biggest issue is similar to 5600 West, but even worse in some ways, and that's the railroad track that gets separated this area. So it's close, but if not, they have to come back out narrow. I'm not suggesting everything's exactly the same. I'm saying it's not issue-free. There's still some boundary concerns on that side.
Okay, well, this actually leads right into my question that I want to ask you. If you look at that map right there, you have West Kearns and David Corley are 3 blocks apart. Western Hills is literally the only thing in this area between 56, 54, and the railroad tracks. Western Hills is the only school, and yet you're focusing in on that. I agree, Western is probably, it's a challenge, but the railroad tracks are not that busy. I've been here for 9 years. I'll hear maybe one train a day, and it runs overnight. So there's not a problem with the tracks.
Schools have to submit what's called a safe walking route. We're not allowed to submit that. Now, kids go where they want to go, we know that. We're not allowed to submit or recommend or suggest in any way elementary or secondaries across the railroad tracks. I wish there were a bridge over it, but we don't want that either. The railroad company would have to decide to build a bridge over it.
Well, there's a bridge along 5400 South that goes under the tracks. So you have that safe walking route because it is crushed. So it's like I said, 3 blocks apart. You have 2 schools within 3 blocks, and yet you're going to force the kids here to cross 5600 West during rush hour traffic to get to school over there. When you could, by bringing the kids under the bridge from West Kearns, you don't have to cross a busy street. You bring them to the school here, and there's no busy streets at all that any student has to cross. And you keep this community together.
I will say, keep in mind that it's not as if that area has not been touched recently. Oak Hills has closed in that area. Westbrook, not too far from there, is closed. Of course, South Kearns was rebuilt. We will be revisiting boundaries in that area for the next several years, especially when, assuming Western Hills is rebuilt, that would be the perfect time to revisit boundaries in that area.
Hi, I'm Taylor. I'm a custodian here. There's a couple things that I just want to say. We have a good amount of people here tonight, and even though a bunch of them already have to leave, I'm gonna put out there that just like I have to leave in 5 minutes because I have 2 kids. There's so many people in this area that probably couldn't make it here because they don't want to drag their kids in here and have them running around going crazy. And some of them were brave enough to do it, and that's awesome. But the people here is not even a little bit of everybody that would have liked to be here. So as a parent, I love this school. I've been here for almost 2 years now, and they've been with me through bringing a new child into the world and like starting to build up myself and my family. But I can feel the difference, like, just like I care about all of your guys' kids, just like I care about mine, you know, I can feel that with almost everybody here. And yes, some people might look exhausted, but that's because we treat everybody like our own kids. And if you're a parent, which all of you probably are, you know kids are exhausting, but we come back and do it every day because we care about your kids just like we care about ours. I think that that's a huge thing to be able to feel like you're actually part of a family. To the whole building situation, I know that this building wasn't properly maintained at one point, but I do everything that I personally can to fix things and improve things and make sure that the maintenance is kept up. And I know that not everybody does that because it's just a job to them, but this is like my home away from home, and I'm going to do everything that I can to make everything safe and clean and
She deserves everything of that.
Sorry.
hard choice to come to this school, and I was so scared when I came here. And just in the short time I've been here, it's been so great to have everybody's support, and I just think that that's something we need more of. Like, I make sure other schools, they're gonna teach your kids and they're gonna make sure that they're not dead. But we actually do care, like, we bond over our heart, and I can tell that by talking to all the teachers here every day and all the parents. And I don't want to see it go. It just, sorry, I'm getting emotional. I'm losing track of stuff. But building maintenance-wise, I'm going to make sure we don't go down, at least in numbers, and I'm going to do everything I can to make it go up. Like the safety one, about the building. You know what I mean? The FIC or whatever, FCI? Yeah, that one. I do everything maintenance-wise I can and whatnot to make sure that we're not going to go down in our numbers there. But I mean, as a parent, I love this school. As a worker here, I love this school. I'm sorry, I'm so nervous up here.
This is great. Everything you said is fantastic. I believe, and I've seen, even in the few days I've been here, seen you work. And if you had been here the last 50 years taking care of the school, maybe we wouldn't be having this conversation. But I will say, and that's not to throw any previous people under the bus, because sometimes it's not a matter of how well you try to take care of the school. It's simply a combination of age and design and the way building code from 60 years ago.
There are also a couple other things here. I know that we do everything we can to make sure everybody understands, like the Spanish translations. We do all of that where a lot of schools don't. We either have somebody that can speak Spanish, or we have everything translated in Spanish, and we do our best to make sure everybody understands and is on the same page together, which I know is hard for a lot of places to do. I'm sure that I'll think of everything that I wanted to say out here once I leave. But
it's okay to think of more later. You can call me, you can email, you can contact us. If we need to arrange more meetings, you can do that. So, thank you.
Okay, I'm going to start as an employee, so I'll leave this on. My first question is, as an employee, because we've talked about Title I statuses and ours versus Silver Hills, and some questions have been asked about whether teachers can transfer to Silver Hills or not, and I know that that's an HR question, but we addressed the fact that Silver Hills may or may not gain their Title I status back starting next year. What happens to my teachers who need to be teaching at a Title I school, and how do they follow these kids? Because these teachers are passionate about these kids.
Let me answer part of that real quickly. I'm not the expert, so I'll have to give Evan Wilson and HR to see if there are any other things they can do in the interim. Sometimes there are supplements the district can have, but I'm not in charge of those monies. But they're very aware of those situations. We've gone through this similar process quite a few times. There were 3 schools unfortunately closed last year, and there were some Title I situations there. So,
because I know these teachers, and I know that they are involved more than the 6.5 hours in these days. They go to sporting events. They spend time on the weekends, and these kids say, hey, I have something going on. And they want to be involved in everything with these kids. These kids come back and give not only high school graduation announcements, they give mission farewell invitations and homecoming invitations. They give wedding announcements. They give baby announcements. These parents, these teachers follow these kids through their adult lives, because these teachers care more than the end of year testing and things for being in my class. These teachers care about these kids forever, and they want to stay with these kids. Taylor, remember her other thing?
Just because we're parents and generally a lot of us don't have a lot of money, I feel like we always get stuck holding the shit under the stick. It really, really sucks to feel like we're not as important because we don't have as much money. But sometimes we don't because we're single moms with multiple kids and this is the only area we can afford. But we all try to stick together and help each other, and I feel like sometimes the little person just needs some help. And that's what we do here. We help the little people in Kearns.
Thank you.
So I worry about our teachers as an employee, because I know that the district takes care of the employees and where we go and what happens to us. I worry about Taylor and what's going to happen to her, because teachers, we need everywhere. But what happens to the head custodian? Where does she go? How does she not end up a rover as a single mom? I worry honestly about my job. How do I, as a secretary, say I'm going to stay here through the end of this, and then what happens to me? How do I keep providing for my family? Because there's limited positions for some of us, and where we go, and how do we not lose what we have here, and still go somewhere and take it out with us?
In all of these closures we've had and boundary changes over the last 10 years I've been doing this, I'm not aware of anyone that's been fired, we call it a rift, is a human HR term for it, or let go because we didn't have another position. Now, is it where you want to be necessarily? No one loses a job. But yes, principals move, those that are one of, principal secretaries, principals, head custodians. There are other positions in the district that are available. Does that mean? There are other positions in the district available. Obviously, I can't guarantee where those are, but that is one advantage we have as a large district. We're not, people aren't losing employment. They may not be where, but they're not losing employment.
Right, so we may be asked to settle.
To what?
To settle for a job somewhere.
Oh, to settle? I guess we call it, that's fair enough. You can call it settling, that's fine.
Like, that's a weird word, because I've come from the district office,
right,
and that's not somewhere I want to go. I'm passionate about being in the school. I care about these kids.
Right.
Enough that when the school's closed for snow, and this is me putting on half a parent and half a secretary, I lived in this is my school. I was here for 22 years with my kids. When it snowed, we tried to dig out my driveway for half an hour, and knowing that these kids were not going to be able to get down here, but parents were going to worry about whether they needed to get here, I threw clothes in a backpack because I was going to get soaked. And I walked down here, and I opened the school, and it took me 15 minutes in tire tracks down these unplowed streets to walk down here and open the school to answer the phone calls of these parents who were concerned about whether or not we were going to be here for their kids and whether they needed to try to get their kids here. Because I care about these kids, I care about their families, and this is where I want to be. I don't want to be in the district office. I don't want to be where I don't know the kids and the kids don't know me. I like being where I can be walking through Costco and with my husband, and all of a sudden we hear, there's Mrs. Clark. Look, it's Mrs. Clark. Because that matters. So, now I've taken off my badge. Now I'm going to be a parent. My first question is not my question. My first question belongs to my son, who's terrified to get up here because we're scared. He's a 7th grade SDO at Kearns Junior High. He came to this school from kindergarten through 5th grade. Would like to have stayed for 6th grade. And this goes back to building conditions and West Kearns, and I know that's been addressed, but I want to kind of put another spin on it. You said one of the reasons this school is the main school you're planning to close is the age of it. But earlier you mentioned that there are other schools in the area that are getting rebuilt. Why would you not rebuild this school? And I want to throw in that because we've addressed West Kearns and that it's train tracks and boundaries, and we can't cross train tracks. Why can you not bring West Kearns dual immersion program here and not rebuild West Kearns? We have enough of a Spanish contingency. We have 118 students in this school, which is almost 50%
that Spanish is their first language, we could house a dual language program.
Let me answer those two quickly. I think I remember. DLI, dual language immersion. Why did the district not bring it here? Mainly because DLI is a school-based decision, school-based program. The district does not place DLI at schools. Schools choose to have faculty that are trained and choose to have them in the community. I will say, we know after about 16, 17 years of DLI in the state, that to have an effective DLI and to maintain traditional classrooms at a decent size, same issue, you need a minimum of 4 teachers per grade level. It's better than even 5 and 6, but you need that. So that's part of the issue. People said, we want DLI. If you want DLI and some other of these programs, they struggle. Almost all of them struggle. And there are schools considering that are similar in size to this one, getting rid of, dropping DLI because of the challenges they face in a small school. Sorry, what was the first question?
It was my first question. Why not bring West Kearns DLI here, or why not put Western Hills on the rebuild list rather than taking it off? Why rebuild West Kearns versus us?
All schools are technically on a rebuild or remodel list. That's what the ranking is for. I can get you the number. I don't remember how far out it is, but I'm going to guess a little bit. But I'm thinking a minimum of 10 to 15 years out, based on that FCI. The lower your number, I think West Kearns was number 1. The lower your number, the more likely you are to be rebuilt. So that's kind of good news, bad news, right? So because of the economy and what happened in the last 4 or 5 years with inflation, I mean, we did pass a bond. We had a nice schedule where we did remodel and rebuild some, but even that, because of inflation, everybody's felt that. We've had to push even the ones in the first phase, and Western Hills was not in the first phase. We even had to push those out 5, 6, 7, 8 years because the money we had set aside to rebuild didn't go, we went half as far.
Okay, and then my question is a parent who does not have kids here anymore, but I still have a student at Kearns Junior, and I have a student at Kearns High School. How does this affect where they go? Because this is still my boundary school, and my concern being Silver Hills is not Kearns Junior's boundaries. Silver Hills is not Kearns High's boundaries. My kids are involved in student body officers at Kearns Junior and choir at Kearns High. If they were athletes, I could permit it without any issue. But they're not. So are they going to be going to Kennedy and Hunter, or will they have the option to permit and stay where they are and stay involved in what they're doing?
Right, great question. My apologies, I should have mentioned that earlier. I just forgot the map. The answer to her question is about secondaries and feeders, whether it's junior high or high school. None of the secondary feeders change. So that means if this happened, this area goes to Kearns Junior, they will continue the same feeder. That means Silver Hills is a split feeder, is what it means. That they still go. This area of Silver Hills still goes to Jefferson. This area, as it stands, still goes to Jefferson. None of the junior high or high school feeders are touched in this scenario. I apologize, I should have covered that earlier.
Buenas noches. Yo solo quería dar mi comentario. Yo vivo aquí en Kearns desde hace 20 años. Mi hija ahora tiene 20 años, vino aquí a esta escuela. Mi hijo tiene 15, también vino aquí, y ahora está mi hijo en primer grado. Entonces, yo quiero expresarles el impacto psicológico que tendrían los niños al moverlos de escuela, de sus compañeros, de sus maestros. Porque mi hijo estaba en kinder, lo separaron para primer grado y no lo pusieron con sus compañeros, y hasta este momento él no logra acomodarse al 100%. Entonces,
She says that her daughter is 20 years old. She's been living here for 20 years. And also he has a younger son, 15, and then a younger son that is in first grade. And he says that when he was in kindergarten and went to first grade, you cannot understand the psychological effect that separating the students from their classmates affects the kids, because her child is trying to adjust just because they separated him from her teammates from kindergarten. So imagine what will happen when he gets sent to another totally different school.
Right. I'll answer part of that. That part is there's no perfect solution. Again, a couple of things we do try to avoid, and that is a split feeder where we're sending a small portion. So if we have a small portion of this community, 10%, 20% going to another school. The advantage, at least in this scenario, not perfect, but the advantage is the silver lining is all of the students that currently attend do stay together. Different school, but they do stay together. And I will say this, and I know it's okay if you don't agree with me, I'll just tell you my experience in boundary changes and school closures. There are a small number of students that it really impacts. When I say small, I'm very aware and concerned, as are people of the district, about some of our special education or students with special needs. Routine, structure, things being the same, very, very important to them. However, being aware of those issues, we have been able to, I think, take care of those students very, very well. By and large, overall, because this was a major concern for me, coming into this position as a former principal, and knowing that I'm making recommendations to the board that impact people's lives and students. Thankfully, what I noticed over a 2 or 3 year period, after really losing sleep over these issues, is kids are resilient. Not perfect. I'm not saying there's not somebody in here right now that's not concerned about their student, and rightfully so. I am saying that after I talk to students and teachers and parents, and typically after even a month or two of their new environment, the kids are great. Now, us as adults, me included, have a harder time with changes, and I'm not suggesting that or minimizing changes and how they would impact your life. You choose to live here oftentimes because of the school, or where you work, or where grandparents live, and babysitters live, and walking routes. All of those things are absolutely important and absolutely not minimized. Those things I've heard and understand. In the end, most students do make that change and adapt, and they seem to do well. It is important. Now, whether this happens or not, and it's happening in other schools, we'll see. The students are strong, but we will take care of the one. Even if there's only one student that's upset or concerned about this, we need to be concerned about that one and address the needs of that one.
Y otra cosa, si le tocara la gente que vivimos por aquí, sabemos cuánto cuesta para subir a la calle al 56 cuando no hay nieve. Entonces no me imagino cuando haya nieve el caos que se va a poner cuando todos los carros de todas las mamás que vivimos en esta área tengamos que cruzar esa calle.
And she says that the people that live in this area know about how hard it is to cross 56, and I can imagine how this is going to be even harder when we have snow and parents have to drive their kids to Silver Hills.
Y si le toca ir a la Lehigh, el cruzar para la 54 es difícil. El dar vuelta para llegar a la 54 es un desastre. Yo he tenido ahí 2 accidentes porque no se me hace seguro y creo que todos los que estamos por aquí tendríamos que cruzar eso.
She says that if they take the route to 54, because she has done it, it is very difficult. That street is very dangerous, and she has had 2 accidents on that street. So she is concerned about the traffic that those 2 schools are going to bring.
Yo cruzo todos los días para llevar a mi hijo a la high school, entonces no me imagino cruzar 2 veces la misma intersección y cuando está nevando es algo bien difícil.
So she has to take her son to high school, and crossing that intersection is very difficult, even worse when it's snowing.
Nosotros, mis hijos siempre han estado seguros en esta escuela, se sienten seguros. Yo como madre me siento segura y me siento libre de venir y preguntar cualquier inquietud que tenga, así que, pues en pocas palabras, no quiero que cierren esta escuela. Gracias.
My kids have always feel safe in this school, and also I feel safe in this school. In one word, I don't want this school to be closed because they feel safe in this school. They feel that they listen to her.
So when I came to the school, I felt safer in the classes because I really got anxiety, and I felt safer in the classes just because the classes were so small. When I went to my old school, the classes were big and it overwhelmed me, and so I was struggling to go to school, and I felt a lot safer here than I did there. And my mom came up here earlier and was talking about how her daughter had anxiety, and that's me, and that this school helped me improve and get out of my reading class, and I've never had that connection with any other school. Another thing is that both of my parents work all day, and so my bus drops us off right here, and it's easier for me to come here than walk all the way to Silver Hills just to make sure my brother is safe coming home. So I just want to put that in.
My question is, have you thought of what this potential decision might do to this potential decision might do to the community? I go to high school up in Kearns, and we are part of the Teens in Action, and our main idea for that group is community service. Western Hills has given us many opportunities to do that community service, and taking away that opportunity is going to make this community lesser. And I really don't want to see that, because it's really important that you guys came here today, and seeing you guys here just proves that we're stronger in numbers. And I'm not just saying this as a student of Kearns High School, I'm saying this as a sister of 2 brothers who go here. And I can see the inconvenience that it will cause, not only for my family, but as well as you guys.
Well, I am the Latinos in Action president in Kearns High. And like my friend previously stated, we do lots of service around here. You know, we come here weekly to do tutoring around classes, and these kids look at us as role models. And when we have 300 students in the program, that's 300 leaders, right? And these kids are already seeing us make a difference in their classrooms. So we're literally preparing them for whatever. We want to see them grow out of their comfort zone. We want to see them lead others around the community as well and the school. So seeing Western Hills try to go down, it's just, you know, it's going to break all the parents. That's how I see it. Western Hills really needs to stay. It will benefit us and the community. I just think it will really make it even stronger again. Thank you.
Let me just say thank you for representing your organization here tonight, Latinos in Action. Love the program. We've had so many great stories and successes with it around the district and other locations. I don't see I want what you're doing to stop. I mean, we've had some schools with different programs in it. Those programs can continue, but you're absolutely right. There's a connection here, and a lot of the way this community feels about the school is due in part to you. So thank you.
So closing down the school will not only affect the students that go here, but other schools as well, including Paradise High School, because this school gives us so many opportunities to come out here and serve and practice our leadership skills.
I want to say that Western Hills have given us the opportunity as Latinos in Action to complete 10,000 hours of service, and hopefully we can complete more. But making this decision will limit that, and we have been involved in the community, we have been involved in the school, and this school has things that other schools don't have, and Western Hills is amazing.
Like you mentioned, we've done a lot of service for the school, but if you guys were to close it down, they switch it to Silver Hills, we can't do that service for them anymore. We can't have, like we said, that influence on them, practice those skills that we have, that we've gone through them. So yeah.
Okay, so I am this year's Latinos in Action Vice President, and I just wanted to say that this plan still is 100% making sense to me, because I still don't understand why it's getting closed, because you're trying to send all these students to Silver Hills, but that's overly populating Silver Hills, which is just going to cause future problems because the schools are going to be overly populated, and that's going to make other schools be like underpopulated, so you're going to want to close down other schools. And then closing down the school is just closing all the windows for these kids, like opportunities to not only get like the service that we do, because we're not as involved with Silver Hills as we are with the Kearns community. It's just gonna close down all the windows of opportunity that the kids are gonna be getting.
So I'm going to start off by saying I grew up in Kearns. I attended West Kearns Elementary, Kearns Junior High, Kearns High School. You keep talking about big schools, big schools, big schools. I have two schools for you, West Kearns and South Kearns. West Kearns has two cafeterias. Explain to me why an elementary school needs two cafeterias. You are supplementing West Kearns by putting all these kids in there, and yet you're going to close down this school. Secondly,
Let me answer part of that so I don't miss something. West Kearns, terrible design. I don't know why, other than my understanding is years ago when that area was booming and we had like 7 elementary schools in a 3-mile radius, because that's the way they did things then. That they decided that was the best way to do it, was kind of almost build another school on that one, which included another cafeteria. It's not a design I don't think we'll ever see again, but we have it, but it's also one of the reasons that school is first on the big go list.
I love West Kearns. I think West Kearns is great. I went there. But secondly, I can tell you this right now. My senior year in high school, I remember which classroom I was sitting in, who I was sitting next to, when there was a school shooting. I remember what class I was in for 3 hours. And we remember the best place to go in case that shooting escalated. Now, what I can tell you right now is I never felt my children are not safe at this school. They are safe because they are in a neighborhood where we know everything that is going on. If you close this school and send them over into an industrial area, they are not safe. I know the area. I grew up here. I'm very familiar with industrial areas. My husband is in the Air Force. I have seen what can happen when industrial accidents go wrong.
As a parent, I am not dumb. I am concerned not only for my children, but for every single child in this school. And not only that, we have a sense of community in this school. I have seen siblings, I might not know who they are or their name, but I can stand there when I'm waiting for my daughter to come out and I see their siblings. I'm like, oh, they are here for their sibling, and I can see them every day, and I know who they are. I know who they belong to. I might not know their name, but I know who they are, and I know who they belong to. And if for any reason I cannot be there for my daughter, there are other parents that will make sure my child gets into that building safely. Now, if this gets closed and we're overpopulating another school, that is not going to happen. And that, for those working parents, they are going to have that concern on their mind all day. The safety of our children is number one. And I feel like you do not have their safety at the forefront of your mind by saying, oh, they're going to have to walk this way to the bridge. It's not going to happen. I can tell you right now, my 7-year-old is not going to get up on that side bridge, and she's not going to want to cross that light on 56. People run red lights. That speed limit is 45 miles an hour. I have driven down that road a number of times and have people whipping by me when I'm going 45, sometimes 50. I'll admit, I speed. I'm human. They go faster than me, and they run that red light because they're in a bigger hurry than everybody else. So what I'm hearing you guys by saying that we're going to close this school is you do not care about our children, and you do not care about their safety.
I'll have to vehemently disagree. We care about your students, and again, is the reason we're considering these. Are all of the safety concerns you have addressed? No. In a perfect world, if we were in Star Trek land, we could beam everyone from their living room to their classroom. I wish we could do that yet, but we can't. We live in a large, sprawling suburban school district. There are busy roads. I worked at Hunter High years ago, and that was basically a 2-lane road, and it narrowed down to almost 1. And now it's practically a freeway. We have the Pet Bridge, which helps. And I encourage all students to use it. I know, I've seen students walk up to bridges and go across the street. I understand that. But safety, no. We are concerned about safety. And there's a reason we've sent, let me ask you this, and I don't know the perfect answer to it, but at what point, what's the threshold, maybe anybody can answer this, what is the number that you reach, number of students that you reach at a school where you say, you know what, actually it's too small now, we can't operate and function like we need to?
Now there's 28 kids in this class, that's still large. How is it considered a small school?
So again, we're looking at the number of teachers and opportunities that the number of students that comes with funding. Yeah, but what's a number? Is there a number, total number?
My child is not a number. My child has a name.
So how many people with names would you be okay with having here? What's the number? Any school. I mean, it doesn't have to be Western Hills. Is there? Yeah, there's a maximum. We don't want to be over as a minimum. You don't have to answer that. Just think about it. And I welcome your feedback on that point. As a district, that's what we're seeing. Our data has told us for years now that we know what that cutoff is, where we see fewer resources, fewer opportunities, and concerns about educational outcomes when you get below 3 teachers per grade level. I'm going to come here because they've been waiting, and then we're done here. I'll be glad to come back.
I just want to voice a concern. So Western Hills is a Title I school, which means that our parents don't have a lot of money. And a lot of the parents here have to walk their kids to and from school because they don't have a car. So you're asking these parents to walk 1.5 miles with their toddlers and their young kids. And right now, Western Hills has a parent class. We have resources here that these parents come to because they're close enough to be able to come here. But we cannot ask them to walk from here to Silver Hills 3 and 4 times a day. They can't do that with young kids. We're talking about maybe 3 hours, 2 hours in the morning, because it takes 23 minutes for him to walk. So that's an hour for that parent to walk. Then they have to go back at the end of the day, and if they want to go to anything at that school, they again have to walk. Now, I get it, but if you bring those parents from Silver Hills, they're the rich ones. They're the ones that can't afford to drive their car. Because we are not taking into consideration how these parents can be involved, and are they going to have the opportunity to have parent classes there? They have a very good system here that helps these parents who very much need it. And they're helping these Spanish parents to learn the language so they can communicate. They are very helpful. They come, I worked here for several years. I quit 1 year too soon, I guess. But I see how much dedication they put into coming here and helping us. But we're asking way too much for them to walk that far. So that is my #1 concern. To think about that we are a community and these parents thrive on being together.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Luz Elena. Yo vengo porque en realidad estoy muy preocupada. Tengo 20 años viviendo aquí, mi hija tiene 20 años, a mi hijo 18 años y mi hija 14 años y mi hija la pequeña tiene 6 años. Y mis hijos han venido a la escuela aquí, todos mis hijos, y para mí es de mucha ayuda porque ellos han aprendido tanto aquí y las maestras les han ayudado. Incluso yo trabajo y a mí se me llama muy difícil en realidad que mi hija camine, mi hija de 6 años camine, porque mis hijos trabajan. Entonces, para mí yo no podría dejar mi trabajo e ir a recoger a mi hija. O no trabajo para llevar a mi hija a la escuela. Esa es mi preocupación para mí. Entonces, si ella está pidiendo que vengamos aquí, me imagino que es para que nos tomen en cuenta y traigan a los niños de regreso a esta escuela. Yo puedo ayudar a esta escuela en mis tiempos libres, lo puedo hacer con todo gusto. Mi hija tiene Yesenia, ella trabaja aquí en esta escuela, Miss Arellano, y ella trata a los niños, ella está emocionada con los niños, trabaja lo mejor que ella puede. La principal es una de las personas que ayuda a todos. Si Dora, yo la conozco hace 20 años que yo estoy aquí, entonces me gusta. Por mi hija pequeña, yo quiero esta escuela. Si yo tengo que venir a ayudar a esta escuela en mis tiempos libres, que no tenga trabajo, yo lo haré con mucho gusto. Pero no quiten esta escuela.
She has several kids. One is 20, one is 18, 14, and 6 years old. And she says that she refused to ask her daughter to walk to Silver Hills. She's working, and she says either I quit my job because I have to take my daughter to school or bring her back, or I don't know what to do. And she likes this school because she has received support.
We're probably okay without that long light works.
There is not a lot of people, so I'm just going to speak it out. So she doesn't want to go to the other school. She doesn't want this school to
close because she has received many benefits from this school and she likes it.
Yo cambié a mi hija de escuela porque pensaba vender mi casa. Nos mudamos a ella la cambié de escuela. Fue un fracaso cambiarla de escuela a mi hija. ¿Por qué? Porque no progresaba en esa escuela que yo la cambié y tomé la decisión de venirme para atrás para tenerla en esta escuela. Entonces yo quiero, de verdad, se los pido que no quiten esta escuela. Me gusta a mí para mis hijos y la seguridad de todos los niños, no nomás la mía, de todos los niños. ¿Por qué? Porque yo a ella la veo, la llevo todos los días a la escuela, la Hunter, y en realidad los niños no tienen cuidado, las personas que están ayudando a pasar los niños, no los cuidan exactamente como aquí lo hacen. Entonces yo de favor les pido, no quiten esta escuela, piensen en los niños y si hicieron esta reunión es para que nos tomen en cuenta a todos. Gracias.
If you make this meeting is to listen to our concerns, and I'm asking you to do that. And she also mentioned before that she is willing to come as a volunteer, and she has come as a volunteer in the past. And also, she says when she had to move out of the area, and she moved her daughter to another school, she didn't do well. So she had to come back to this area so she can enroll her daughter in Western Hills, and then is when she started blooming again.
Hi, so, me and my husband live in the neighborhood. Something that hasn't really been clear to me is if we do close this school, what is going to happen to this property? It would be harmful to our community to have it vacant for extended periods of time, leading to vandalism, other shady activities happening on the property. Furthermore, what is going to be the long-term plan for this area? Is there going to be a homeless shelter, apartment complexes, more houses? Those will greatly affect our community. And I don't think it's good enough to not have these answers before we close the school. It will greatly affect the value of our homes as well as the safety of our neighborhood. Do we need to sell our homes and get out of here as we watch our community crumble around us? And you haven't given us promises or answers about what's going to happen. And this is our lives in our community. And bureaucratic answers aren't going to cut it.
We touched on this a little bit earlier, but I think we can cover it again, absolutely. If a school is closed, if and when a school is closed, the board does not know yet. I mean, we can't make a decision. If the board says, hey, this is what we're going to do with the property before a decision is made to close it, no, that's wrong, right? So the board has told us many, many times, even the schools we've closed recently. Do we have ideas in communities where we think we may need some district programs, other things? Certainly there are ideas, but we don't know. Again, if we went in with a plan, hey, let's close that because we need this, I don't think that's fair, right, by the board. The board has been reticent, hesitant, not willing, so far, this current board has not wanted to sell properties. That's atypical. Not saying that it will never happen, but they're not making more land, guys. And if something happened where this area, for whatever reason, had more students, or we need another building, yes, we do that. If a decision is made by a board, this is state law, any school board, to sell a property, the municipality it sits in has first right of refusal to purchase the property. We can't go out and sell to the highest bidder or developer or something like that. So we don't necessarily control all of that. Now, just like in South Salt Lake when Brandon High closed, that was the situation. South Salt Lake tried to pass it on, I think 2, maybe 3 times. It did not pass. And then at that point, the decision was made to surplus or sell that property. We have many properties, a handful I know, that we have knocked the building down. What we don't do is leave a building vacant. When it gets vandalized and becomes a nuisance or a problem for the community, that lowers your property values. All of our buildings that are currently closed are maintained. The grass is cut. We have custodians that are rovers to come in and turn water on, turn lights on, maintain that building. Because most of the time we found that either the district needs it for other programs, or maybe a community wants to use it, or lease it for a program. We have a few that we have knocked the building down because it was not worth keeping, and we keep the green space and typically lease it to most of the time to like Salt Lake County or a local government entity to use. Why would we want to have this property be here in the middle of this neighborhood and not let anyone use it? We have several that are just parks, fields, things like that. So that's the intent. I'm not speaking for the board, I am speaking from experience the last 10 years and in my conversations with board members and in my conversations with other districts that are doing similar things. Districts don't think that much differently. Most boards, it's not worth the money long term. If you sell a property, it can be a temporary short-term boost infusion of cash. It doesn't go far enough most of the time to make it worth it. What is worth it is holding on to those properties and doing something either as a district or in conjunction with a organization or municipality for the betterment of that community. Now, I'm not saying it never happens, and I'm not saying I know what's going to happen because I actually don't. And if you want to contact your board member about what's going to happen, knock yourself out. That's your prerogative to do so. I'm only telling you what I've seen in the last 10 years. And about many conversations with board members that we are not eager to sell any properties. We use them too much.
I have 3 toddlers at my house, and this decision will affect us for the next 2 decades, as I have kids and such. And when I first moved in here, I was appalled by the test scores. I researched this school and I was disgusted by what I was seeing. And I've seen those test scores kind of still go down. And I like your claim how it states that when teachers collaborate together, the overall quality will increase. I've talked to many other young moms in the neighborhood who did not come because they also have young toddlers. And they are scrambling to find any other school to go to besides Western Hills. And so I stand here as a replication of them and of me. It says, please close this school and make something better.
Thank you. I appreciate all concerns. I really, really do. Did I miss, I heard what you said. Did I miss a question in the beginning? It was more of a statement? Okay. I want to make sure I didn't. Yes, welcome back.
Le vuelvo a repetir, estoy aquí desde que empezó a las 6 de la tarde, muy incumplido, porque salí de trabajar, llegué a hacer de comer y me vine corriendo para acá. Y estoy aquí porque me importan mis hijos, porque me preocupan mis hijos. Mi niña de 8 años no puede caminar sola hasta la escuela que quiere usted mandarla. Mi hija apenas le arreglé su bicicleta porque se le pincha mucho con los bolitas que tienen espinas. A cada rato se le revienta la llama. Ok, ella jaló la bicicleta y como niña no se fijó, ella se bajó y se atravesó la calle. Y un carro iba pasando, y eso que iba pasando despacio, me la atropelló. Y no le pasó nada, gracias a Dios. Pero ahorita digo, si me la quieren mandar hasta allá, es más de media hora que ella tiene que caminar, va a querer agarrar la bicicleta y no va a poder subir el puente con la bicicleta. Entonces se va a querer subir, pasar la calle, la 56 con la bicicleta. ¿Y qué va a pasar? Me la van a matar. Entonces, y en la nieve las personas no limpian, se llenan mucho de nieve, no pueden, los niños tienen que meter los pies en toda la nieve, llegan con los pies empapados, mojados, tenis mojados de alta nieve. Y usted se imagina que los pies fríos, helados, tienen que caminar más de media hora para llegar a la escuela. Eso no se me hace justo. Y si es así, yo no voy a mandar a mis hijos a la escuela. Y si me tienen que mandar a corte, yo voy a corte, pero yo a mis hijos no los voy a mandar hasta allá a la escuela a caminar más de media hora.
I've been here since 6 o'clock since you started, and I haven't eaten, and I'm hungry. But I'm here because I care about my kids. My concern is that my daughter, she was riding her bike, just here in the street, the tires got punctured, so she didn't see the cars coming, and somebody, a car struck her, so she had an accident. Nothing happened to her. But can you imagine my daughter walking to Silver Hills in the snow? The kids have to climb in the snow because people don't clean their sidewalks. They get to school with their feet wet, cold, and for half an hour walking that to Silver Hills is a long time. So if you are changing the boundaries and my kids have to go to Silver Hills, I'm not sending my kids to Silver Hills. If you send me to court, I will go to court, but I'm not sending my kids to Silver Hills.
Ahora, todo el tiempo le hemos estado diciendo nuestros puntos y usted se la ha pasado dándonos peros y se ha contradecido. Ahorita usted acaba de decir que no van a cerrar no van a vender la propiedad, que si el edificio lo tienen que dejar, lo van a dejar, por si se llega a ocupar después, o si se suben los números de alumnos, la vuelven a abrir. Ok, pues entonces regrésenos nuestros niños que son los que nos quitaron para que haya más niños y no cierren la escuela.
You have been contradicting yourself on every point that you bring. You say something contrary to that. You just said that you are not going to close the school, that we are going to keep the building. Yes, in case our numbers increase, then you will reopen the school. And so why do you do that? Instead of that, yes, bring us back the kids that you took from our neighborhood to feed into Silver Hills.
Yo quiero que se pongan la mano en el corazón y se preocupen por los niños pequeños. La señora tiene su hija 6 años, la mía y tiene en el frío. Ella tiene 6, mi hija tiene 8 y tiene que caminar, ¿sí? De un extremo al otro extremo. Y es injusto que la niña solita de 8 años tenga que caminar tanto porque le puede pasar algo. Y si le pasa algo, usted va a estar feliz en su casa encerradito con sus hijos, usted y todos los demás de la directiva que tengan que decidir, ¿verdad? Que pienso que a lo mejor ya lo decidieron y nada más lo mandaron a usted a escucharlo. Pero si usted puede hacer algo, por favor, que no cierren la escuela, porque a todos nosotros estamos aquí porque nos preocupamos de nuestros hijos pequeños y necesitamos y ocupamos esa escuela.
Okay. What she said, what she mentioned, that to put your hand on your heart and think about our kids. Well, it's not fair for her daughter that has asthma to walk all the way to Silver Hills or any of the children. And probably she's thinking that probably you already make a decision and they just send you to listen to us. But their decision is already made. And this is just...
Okay, so I've just figured out just one here rather than stay back there. You keep talking about our data, our data, our data. Where is this data coming from? Why don't we, as the tax-paying citizens, have access to this data? We want to see it.
Yeah. Most all of the data is on our website. If there's something on there that you want for
the outcome data that you constantly talk about. Your outcome data, you say it's better when there's more teachers, students have better outcomes.
As far as
where's that data coming from? We deserve the opportunity to see that data.
I'd be glad to give you some data. It's a lot of this is experience over years, the last 10 years looking at these issues, and we know it's me being in buildings, it's talking to directors, it's talking to principals, it's talking to teachers, and then knowing that what happens with larger class sizes, imbalances in class sizes, and those issues, and that's why I spent so much time on the 2 slides for small school concerns.
Okay, that's a couple. When you come here and you cite, our data says this, our data says this, but you cannot provide us with an actual data point that we can physically look at, I have a hard time believing your data.
Sure. Send me an email. I'll be glad to visit with you or get you started.
Because right now, I will tell you right now, you're getting ready to close the best performing school on the west side of this valley. This school has brought their academics rating up since the pandemic. It's more than doubled their academic rating. And you guys don't care.
By the way, I will say, I'm not suggesting that every small school in the world is a bad school, or every large school is a bad school. What we are saying is, we know that there's a good size, an economy of scale at work here for students, for functionality, and even fiscally responsible. But yes, can you be too small? Absolutely. Can you be too large? Absolutely. I'll be glad to contact me. Look at the website first and see what all's on there. But then we can talk in detail if you want about the small school concerns.
So this is actually the second configuration meeting that I've actually been to. The first was met with just about as much as passionate opposition as you have seen here tonight. But guess what happened? The district and the board didn't listen to the parents of the community, and they did it anyways. So, and all the parents that I know who, and the community who were greatly affected by it, they didn't like the outcome of what happened. And it just seems like, as other people pointed out, that this decision seems like it's already been made, and that this is kind of just to placate us. My child actually did go to Silver Hills for a little bit, and I can actually only imagine the chaos of even what drop-off and pickup is going to look like. If you've seen even the parking lot in that situation, you know what I'm talking about. Let alone what the classrooms are going to look like after this configuration happens. So, please, board members, district, listen to the parents, listen to the community, because this, like the person said before, this is going to, even if she doesn't agree, I'm sorry if like one or a few parents had a different outcome. My child, my oldest child, she's 16 now, went to this school from when they had the preschool all the way into 6th grade, when they still had 6th graders. It was the best experience. My youngest daughter has gone to a couple different schools. This was the best experience that our kids ever had when they went here. PTA was amazing. Listen, just listen.
Maybe your data is not showing, if you are basing that in census, is not showing that in our homes we have 2 families, 3 families. So it doubles the amount. These are very good start homes. And what attracts them to our neighborhood is the school. And if we don't have a school, it will be hard to sell our homes if we want to move. This is becoming an older area. But also, new families are coming here with babies that are not in school yet, that they are in preschool, and we are seeing those kids coming along with their parents. So in about 2 years, this is going to boom again, and you don't have that data because you don't live here. And another thing, this is special because made the perfect triangle. That is community, school, and family. This school is the center of our community. It's the gathering place of our community. That's why our school is strong. That's why our community is strong. And many people have said bad things about Kearns, but if you Google it, if you Google the places that are the most unsafe places in Salt Lake, you don't find Kearns. You find Salt Lake, you find South Salt Lake, Monterey, Taylorsville, but you don't find Kearns. This is a great place.
otra vez vuelvo a estar aquí parada. Esta es la casa de nuestros niños, no la quiten. Yo le agradezco a mi niña de 6 años. Ella es su primer año aquí y yo estoy tan contenta porque ella ya sabe, ella no sabía escribir su nombre, ella sabe escribir su nombre, ella sabe los abecedarios. ¿Por qué? Porque aquí dan mucha ayuda, cuando en otras escuelas a ella no se la dieron. La principal, todos los maestros venimos a preguntar por nuestros hijos, nos atienden lo mejor. Entonces, de verdad, se lo pido, hable con quien tiene que hablar, sus compañeros, no cierren esta escuela, no lo hagan difícil para nuestros niños. Mi niña me dice, ella está feliz en esta escuela, ella tiene asma, yo no puedo que mi hija se vaya caminando, yo vivo en la 54, cerca de la carretera, que mi hija se vaya caminando hasta allá. Yo entro a trabajar, dejaría de trabajar, como se lo repito otra vez, para llevar a mi hija. ¿Y qué pasaría? Yo saldría afectada porque no tendré ganancias para mis hijos, para darles su comida y el esfuerzo de nosotros que hacemos. No la cierren.
Please don't take away the school from our kids. My daughter is in first grade and she knows how to write her number, the ABC, and this is thanks because of the school, the help that she receives from the school. If she gets moved to Silver Hills, she has asthma and I'm concerned about her. I will have to leave my job to take care of transporting my daughter, and I won't have the means to feed my kids.
Well, thank you for being here. My wife was asked to talk about we live in this community. I moved to the States 7 years ago, so I've seen like the changes in the area since 7 years from now. I feel like the data, the source of the data that you guys might have, as Dora said, doesn't take into consideration all the immigrant population in the area. Most of it is because obviously they're not counted in the census, or they don't want to be put in the census, right? I feel like from what I've seen more and more this trend is happening in Kearns, and I don't know about other places in the valley, but the trend is that Kearns is increasing immigration. A lot of people are coming to Kearns because it's a good place to start a family or start your life in the States. Because it's cheaper, even though it's really expensive everywhere in Utah to live right now. But Kearns is affordable. And what I've seen in my community is that a lot of young people are coming here to start a family, or they come with young children. They're not yet in age to come to elementary, but they will soon be. So I feel like if we take into account that data, we can see the potential of this school as growing, right? Another thing to take into account is that a lot of families here, some of the families have only a woman, or the woman is a breadwinner, and they choose this community because they can walk, their kids can walk, and they can do that, right? So I feel like from a perspective of maximum benefit for the community, or an ethical decision that can be made here is that the majority of the population will be benefited from staying in this school year. We move the people from Silver Hills. I feel like it's going to affect more positively the community and those women that are single moms. Thank you.
All great points. Just to touch on a few things that come up pretty commonly. In areas like this, other areas, a lot of our district, where it's maturing, we don't have as many young people anymore. And then there are some younger people moving in. But professional demographers, not just me, will tell you. And we did hire an outside company to come in and either confirm or challenge our data. They're called Davis Demographics. Long story short, they said, yeah, there will be some turnover, but it never goes back to where it was years and years ago. At the most, you're usually looking at a 50% return. So in other words, if the average family size, let's just say, I'm making up a number, used to be 6 children, well now at the most it's going to be 3. Now, census is telling us that, the data is telling us that. What is hard to track is how many families are living together, sometimes 2, 3, 4 families. That is hard for us to track, but what is not hard for us to track is how many students are showing up. So that really is the number that we use. Are we seeing more people move to this area? Because it's, I'll call it a little more affordable. It's still not, I don't know how affordable anything is now, but a little more affordable? Yes, it is. And we're constantly watching those trends, where even in some places, I will tell you, that apartments and townhomes and high-density housing used to be just for young couples, and by the time you had children old enough for school, they would move into a home. Well, we're seeing that change right now because those people can't afford homes. They're remaining in those places. So we constantly keep an eye on those things. But long story short, what we can track is the number of students coming into an area. Do other things impact this? Not just the number of births and students that live here. Charter schools, private schools, open enrollment, which a few people have already mentioned. All of those are a factor. So we keep track of the numbers of people that live here, but choose to go to school elsewhere. Now, if everyone's remained, you know that we have, I can't remember the exact number, but I think it's over 8,000 students that live in our boundary that choose to go to charter or private schools. We have the largest number of charter schools per capita in our district versus others. So I ask those parents, you know, we do. Sometimes it's simple proximity. There's a school, a charter school that opened up a few years ago, and a huge development opened up right next to it, housing development. And where do they mostly go? The charter school. And just like you said, probably the main reason I hear when I talk to those parents is because they can walk out the back door and go to that school. I get that. As a parent, I get that. So yes, I'm not a professional demographer, but I have been doing this for a while, and we do get outside help to make these projections. I'm trying to be brief here. If you look at the news, and look at the University of Utah has done some great projections for the state overall. Parts of the state, far north in Cache County, Logan area, far south in St. George and Utah County. Those are the areas projected to grow. Salt Lake County is projected actually to continue to go down or remain the same at the most, but projected to go down in population over the next 50 years. So we always have to keep an eye on these fluctuations, changes in habits, changes in the economy, changes in the real estate market, changes in behaviors, and make adjustments for those. We're a large district with 80+ schools, and when people choose to move or not, that has an impact. When buildings age, that has an impact. All of these things. I'm giving you a lot of information here, just trying to cover some things that I usually hear. But thank you. I appreciate that. And what you say is true. We are seeing, we do have more refugees in the community coming in. In fact, in the last couple, over the summer, we had one school that's received 80 refugees. And I'm using that term loosely because in other countries, different languages, but that's more in the South Salt Lake area, and there are some in these areas. Jan?
Steve, I'm glad you mentioned the charter school, private school scenario. We as a school district, we are facing an issue where school vouchers are going into effect. It's going to only increase the school choice. As a result, we as a school district, and I'm a public citizen, and I'm on board with you, we need to find a way to be competitive so that these young moms aren't saying, where am I going to send my kids? We need to go out and survey them, ask them, what do we need to do to make it so this is an attractive place to be? We are in competition with the charter schools and the private schools. And until we really, if we want to do some paid focus groups, there's a lot of people in our community who are sending their kids elsewhere. And we need to make it so they don't have an excuse to send their kids elsewhere. It's silly if we send people away. And then the other thing I wanted to touch on is the safety. I think I may have told you this, but I want to tell everyone else. My daughter was in a car traveling on 5400 South, going to school over to Kearns High 10 years ago, March. She was in the car that hit a boy and almost killed him. Miraculously, he's alive. He suffered trauma. His family suffered trauma. I went over and visited his mom. In fact, she and I planned on coming tonight, but she had to go to work. We made show up to the school board meeting in October, and she and I and the boy. But my daughter has suffered serious trauma. She's had to have extensive mental health therapy as a result of that. Why are we subjecting our kids to go out onto a busy road? I understand in high schools we can't do that. But in elementary, there's absolutely no reason why we need to have the majority of our population crossing over a busy highway.
I don't disagree with that.
I wish
I
my
don't want
daughter
to
could be
cross
here.
busy roads.
I wish she could be here to communicate to you how she felt. She lives in Seattle, otherwise I guess I could put her on Zoom.
Sure.
But I was talking to her the other day and I said, Emily, that affected you, didn't it? She felt a lot more than you ever knew, Mom.
Between, I won't name all of them, but again, I'm aware, going from the south, from 62nd, and I'm going to miss it, 62nd to 54th to 47th to 41st to 35th to 31st, going north south, east-west. From Bacchus Highway, we got a brand new school, high school going in right there on that side. Going from Bacchus, 56, you name it. Bangerter, we've been making a lot of adjustments. One of the reasons Westbrook was closed a few years ago was that was the Bangerter corridor study to try to reduce a lot of these issues. I mean, again, they're all of the east side, from Wasatch to 39th to Highland to 33rd to State Street to 17th to Eagle. They are out there and they are a pain in the.
Well, but the thing is, we're moving. If we move this population to Silver Hills, we've got the same scenarios that we had over at Fox Hills. A school surrounded by highways and a golf course and a USANA amphitheater. It just is not a sensible place. In fact, when I moved out here, Silver Hills was out in the middle of nowhere. There was the golf course and this school. And the only reason it has the Sky Bridge is there was a student who was killed. I worked with someone who told me that. The only reason that is there was a student who lost their life. And here we are trying to use that as an excuse to move 300 kids across it every day. In reality, it was an overflow for Western Hills. And so here we are shutting down Western Hills and keeping the overflow. That was the intention for that school.
I know Silver Hills and a few other schools like it are still commonly referred to as overflow schools because that's what they were called.
And it still kind of is that.
In the 80s when they were built and that population was booming. The reality is that overflow school is still functional and
well, this one's
deemed more functional for a longer period of time than some of the surrounding schools.
But at what expense? At what cost? The district is spending $6 million on artificial intelligence for guns control. We're safeguarding these schools, trying to prevent a shooting. The reality is there's a much higher odds that these kids are going to get killed out on the roads going to school, either in a traffic accident or in an auto pedestrian accident, than they would be shot at school. At least in an elementary level. I agree on the high school level, there's probably a higher risk, but on the elementary level, a much higher risk. And we need to address it, and we need to be willing to, if we need to put money into it, build a new building.
We'd love to have the money to build that new building.
Well,
we do have that phasing I've talked about, a priority ranking for those.
And
but yes.
Could we not, consider that?
And I think I want to clarify something. I'm pretty sure I understand this, but I'll ask anyway for those still remaining. What I'm understanding and hearing is, because we have some that live in the current boundary of Western Hills in what I would call the northwest corner of that. You still have to walk down here. Probably a good 10-minute walk at least. And some still have to cross the pet bridge. So it's not so much the distance of a walk on this side, it's all about 56 and crossing 56. And
the extra traffic that will be there.
And it gets really long.
And I don't want
And so, how many, and we're just saying that we don't think the majority of students will use the pet bridge.
Well, as a parent, Steve, I would not have my child walking to school there.
Yeah, I mean, it's strong.
I would not. So I would drive, and it would take me forever to cross over there. But it's reality. I don't have little kids, but if I did, I can guarantee I would be driving them because the walk back and forth would just take me way too long.
I mean, it makes sense. I mean, perfect sense. I just want to make sure I'm understanding. It's not just a distance, because we have people walking a distance now. But it's 56. Let's get across that big road.
Thank you for listening to my concerns, and I hope that the school board and the rest of the PAC take these into consideration, because the safety of this community is utmost important. And then also, see what we can do to drum up business, bring in people to the public schools again, rather than having them run away.
Amen. I'm all for that. Thank you, Jen. Appreciate it. I will take one more comment up here if you want to. Then I want to encourage everybody to get home, but I will stay for at least a little while longer. Poor Wendy, we're keeping you and your staff here late, but just for a couple more minutes, I'll keep you. But if we need to perhaps organize something else, and we'll get feedback to you and answer your questions, I just want to make sure everybody has an opportunity to be heard.
I'm just going to explain 5600 a little bit better, because I grew up in this area as well. I went to Hunter Elementary, and when I was in high school, I was a sweeper at Silver Hills. So as a teenager, how old am I? 30 plus years ago, I was walking 5600. It was before the Sky Bridge, and I was walking. I was 17. It was my senior year, up 5600, and then crossing over. There was a crosswalk to Silver Hills every day to be a student sweeper at Silver Hills. And as a 17-year-old girl, that many 30 plus years ago, I would get catcalled at and whistled at and objects thrown at me. And it was terrifying. And I was 17 and it was daylight. And yes, I was walking straight at 5600 West. But it was scary. And I was not 7 or 8, I was 17. And I was this big. I had not grown since 6th grade. So I looked like an adult. And I was an adult, I was 17. And so to say that we're going to put our kids out on 5600 West at 7 and 8, and it's 30 years later, Emily Road is a lot scarier, and there's a lot more traffic. And there are a lot of, and it's not just car traffic, it is next to a lot of industrial. And so there are a lot of dump trucks and a lot of 2 and 3 trailer deep trucks that go up that. And with concert season at the end of the school year and then into the beginning of the school year, there are a lot of tour buses and things like that that come up and down at all hours of the day. When I've taken my son to school in the mornings, we see tour buses coming in, and we don't know how long they've been driving, late at night, whatever, to get here for concerts. So the traffic on that road is real for these kids, and the people that drive it are not necessarily going to be kind to these kids that are out there. And from experience, and that was 30 years ago, and now 30 years later, the world's that much scarier and that much less looking out for kids and more looking out for the person behind the wheel.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for staying so long. There's no doubt that this community is strong, has a sense of community, has passion, and I absolutely love it. I would much rather any day have a meeting like this, have a meeting like this with everyone here and be passionate about it than have no one show up, because that's indifference of people that don't care. And that's what we don't want. I would rather have people that care every day, so thank you.
and take some cookies home with you. You get the bonus for coming and staying this late. Thank you for your time. We really appreciate you. Thank you.